welcome to the Chec box. That was Africa by none other than Toto. And I got something quick for you. You know nothing if it wasn't never anything, which is something. Ooh, got him. Anyway, you want me to repeat that? You know nothing that was ever anything that is something. You feel me?
Did you come on yourself?
I actually did, man. Actually, it's
you sure?
You know nothing that was ever anything that was something. There we go.
You don't know,
we can get sued, bro.
You don't know
Chill.
nothing.
Dude, I
know
can't
nothing
even.
about
I can't
anything
drink
that was
normally
something?
with this.
Isn't that what it is?
It's something, man, but it don't matter. Let's check it. We had
Alright.
episode 6, gentlemen.
We
Welcome.
Ching ching.
What is going
Ching,
on?
ching.
What's popping?
Oh, word.
And the setup is getting
Cheers.
better.
Welcome.
I got a cafe.
Okay, as you guys can see, we have another fifth person here.
Another
Then Banyame Sylla, a.k.a. Ben, my line brother, my number 4. You already know what it is. Ben, tell us about yourself, man. What's going on? Welcome to the Chec box.
Yo, what's going on, guys? I am a social worker major at the College of Staten Island. Born and raised in Staten Island.
CSI.
And you guys are gonna hear a lot about me today, so I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah,
to
you're
this
the star guest, my friend.
Am I the
You're gonna
star?
be, yeah, bro. I kind of want
Not
you
a
to
star.
set it today.
I
bro.
know.
Hey.
You're being a little shy, bro.
You know what it is? We needed to make the color kind of even. That's what it was.
which
And we
one?
get the dog
I
movie.
like how you think, bro. I
Yeah.
respect that.
I'm here,
Let's
baby.
go with it.
I like that. All right, bro. Word. Well, welcome to the show, my brother. Today
Yo, I'm
we're gonna
fucking up.
speak a little bit on religion,
Just gotta
guys,
get that
and we're gonna start a little religion series kind of thing. It was brought up by Alec, which I thought was a pretty great idea.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
So we're gonna do a couple of religion episodes. Disclaimer: none of these episodes are meant to belittle any religion. Demean anyone in any sort of way. There's no hostility behind any of these things. It's literally just strictly conversation and your insights on some of today's, basic concepts that religion might, have an impact on.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah, bro. I mean, this came as a perfect segue to the millennials,
I think it did.
to the millennials thing.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, one of the biggest criticisms of millennials is that we can't have conversation, with someone else of an opposing view without, getting hostile or defensive and really getting disrespectful or just like, covering your ears and just like screaming
Sticking your
and
head
stuff.
in the sand.
Dude, it's embarrassing, bro. We've been watching shit on YouTube lately. It's just really bad. So I mean, we're here to show like this can actually happen.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have multiple people
Yes.
here today, of different faiths, but to be honest, it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it ended up turning into something that we're gonna make into like an addition
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're gonna, like he said, it's gonna be a series of segments with different.
Absolutely. I
religions.
think it's
It'll be fun
great.
as hell.
I think it's great. And before we get into the actual episode, gentlemen, I want to speak on episode 5. We spoke on millennials.
Yeah.
That's gonna get released tomorrow. Okay, Ben, I'm not sure if you didn't hear it. It's not released yet, idiot. But
I was time traveling. Go back
Showed
and
them some snippets.
well, I
behind
mean,
the
we
scenes.
we spoke about millennials, bro, and we referred to an article who basically said that millennials were lazy. What was it? Entitled.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
basically burnt out and failures at adulting. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think about just those 4?
I think those are, true and honest for real. I think also we like have short attention spans.
Oh, that is.
Everything is just like
absolutely
instant. Wake up, get on your phone.
Yeah.
true. Instant gratification. they call it.
You want food, you just right there at your fingertips. So to be able to hold a conversation or sit there and actually go learn things, like, it's kind of like strenuous for us to do. So
It's hard to keep attention
Yeah,
in
that's
a
what
world
it is.
where attention is like. It's funny, like in a world full of things that need attention, it's hard to keep attention on one thing or
It
a
is.
few things at a time.
It is. Perp, what you think about episode 5, bro? Talk to me, man.
I don't know. I mean, I like it, but I feel like, every generation stuff has its similarities and differences, and it's just the same shit. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like people, because the article wasn't talking shit about like our generation.
No. It
I was
wasn't.
saying, but there's like all people from the generation before us who do talk shit like, man, y'all
Oh,
raised
man.
us.
Oh, I'm not gonna
That's it.
front. Like
True.
I would talk shit about the
Yeah.
millennial stigma. I
I talk shit about them now.
I don't
dude.
care, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like we were talking about, like it's not something that we wholeheartedly identify with. I mean, if you want to throw us in that category just because we were born in a certain year, that's fine. Whatever,
Yeah.
do your thing, bro. Like, end of the day,
Nah, yeah.
the message was what?
Nah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody could take that one differently.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I would have wanted people to take away from that one specifically is I mean, well, not this specifically. I really think there was a message behind that one, honestly. Like I think it was just a good discussion to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it
Um,
was necessary.
Because, for example, like with the like the being lazy, for like a better term, that they were talking about, like that shit is for real.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to like when I think about like my
Oh, yeah.
parents' work ethic and shit, I'd be like, yo, well, I'm not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Compared to like what they be doing and stuff, like I'd be like, yo, wow, all right, like
It's a different
I could work
world,
harder. You feel me? But shit like that. But as far as like, I didn't really have a message I wanted to portray or like.
But don't you think that I don't know. I feel like sometimes people just work harder when they have to.
Yeah, when they have to.
Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I think about like what my parents had to do and working 2 or 3 jobs and just not sleeping.
They gave you the best setup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
it's
it was
like
that, yeah.
So
Yeah,
now you
yeah.
could, I think we definitely take that for granted, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
absolutely.
No, but I think what I meant more was like, for example, like my dad, he'll wake up in the morning no matter what every day. Like he'll just wake up mad early in the morning no matter what, right?
Right.
Shit, like, certain things that like, for example, let's say if he like something happens, he has to take the train somewhere real quick. Like shit that I'll be like, I don't really want to do that.
True.
Like if it has to be done, literally no thought about it. It just gets done. I'm like, all right, you see, like that's the type of shit I'm talking about though. Like I think about it, but like, do I want to do that or not?
It's 'cause
like
you
with
got
him, it's more
options.
like, that's what this like. It just pops up,
It's 'cause
boom,
you got
it goes,
options
gets
now,
done.
you
You know?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
You
I
don't
find that
have to
people
do it.
who have, for example, I don't even need to look at other people. I can just look at myself. When I have the freedom to do something, when I don't have a class that I have to like, do work for, it's very seldom that you see me do something, like
extra.
on like a real strict schedule.
Yeah.
That discipline is just not there. That discipline is just not there, and it's so sad. Like, and I look at myself, and the thing is that we're not stupid guys. Like, we're educated guys. We're conscious people, right?
Speak
And
for
we can be
yourself.
conscious of these things, and it doesn't change the fact that we can't get ourselves to do these things. Like, what is it? Like, what is in us, and like, what is holding us back? And I still don't know the answer to that. We definitely alluded to it the last episode, but
I can't wait to listen, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
it's
Tomorrow-
crazy.
Yeah, and real quick.
I really do think.
If I'm a star, I should get that preview,
No.
I'm
Finish
saying.
it up because what I was gonna say is not related to what this.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say was that basically, you brought up that point that the fact that, or I forget who brought up the point that we didn't need, we weren't forced into doing something.
Right.
We didn't have like survival at stake. We already had a roof over our head. We already had food at our table. And we don't know how that feels like to not have that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And just speaking for us right here, I know maybe other people in our generation might have it differently, but I think just for the fact of not having that survival mode all the time, you really just get used to being chill.
Complacent,
Like,
and just for sure.
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, niggas just drinking that wine and shit. Shout out Café Bustelo. Feel me? Holding it down. since
Yo, I'm
day
here with it.
one.
I'm here with it.
Dude.
You feel me?
We do something a little different. I would have had my cup of coffee, but I kind of passed on it today.
Yeah.
It's my second cup.
We all feeling
You
a
just
little.
ain't want to get up and make it. That's all. That's all.
True. I mean, I'm pretty much trapped behind here, but what are you gonna do?
You
But
was
I-
not even there the whole
He
time.
called me fat.
I've actually been sitting here for
Just
like
call
the
me
past
fat.
10
That's what it
minutes.
is. See, I can't move behind this.
I've been sitting here for the past 10 minutes. What are you gonna do? All right, but let's get into today's topic, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, guys, it's gonna be a religion series. Once again, we're not demeaning anyone's belief or anyone in particular. Simple conversation, okay? And Alec mentioned this great point that millennials apparently can't hold conversations for too long because of their indifferences and opposing perspectives with pretty much everything. And I couldn't agree more, to be honest. But we are here to show otherwise because that's exactly what's gonna happen today. And gentlemen, I just want a brief, overview of your religious beliefs. And we're gonna start off with Ben, our special guest here. Ben,
Absolutely.
tell us what's up, brother.
I am I guess you can call it like a semi-practicing Muslim.
Okay.
We'll get into that more later, but
Perp.
I don't know, man. I mean, as I've said before, like I grew up Catholic. Not that I've strayed away from that completely. I mean, basically, but yeah, I have. I've strayed-
Took a while for that.
I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm Catholic or any, not even 1% right now. You know what I'm saying? But not that I'm tossing it away. It's just more like I don't know what I would describe myself as right now. But yeah,
Figure it out. That's
I'm
fine,
figuring
bro.
shit
It's
out,
perfectly
and I'm not
fine.
rushing that. I'm really not that I'm like, yeah, I'm not rushing it. Pretty much, I'm not rushing it, and yeah, like I don't know. I just feel like I have right now. I have like a personal relationship with the universe and with God
For sure,
and whatever
for
that power is, and then I feel like I got a lifetime to figure it
I
out.
hear you.
But
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, Alec, where you at, brother?
Well, so some people might call me like a strict atheist or something like that. I really hate labels, bro, because to be honest, the atheist kind of like connotation really comes off as a negative kind of connotation to the point where
It is.
well, no, it is a stigma because it kind of has that connotation of this iconoclast that just wants to just not
religion down.
right this rebellious kind of thing, and no, rather it's something else. It's a little bit more constructive than that. I'm constructing my own view of reality, my own sort of foothold on what is around me, and religion is one of those things that ground us. And so for me, I'm trying to find my own grounding. I'm trying to find my own place and trying to find it in my own way. And learning about other religions and other people's way of thinking really does help me do that. And so I find myself to be more constructive atheist rather than an atheist that just doesn't care to listen. An ignorant
I
atheist,
appreciate
right?
that. I appreciate
Absolutely,
that.
because there's something to learn from everyone's point of view. And this is what the point of this segment is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what
For
it is.
sure,
Man.
for sure.
You want to know something really quick, Alec?
Yeah.
I had a bunch of people actually. We were talking about episode 4.
Yeah.
And they heard how your grandfather put you basically into that lifestyle and shit. Not really put you into it, but I put you on, surrounded you a lot with
It
it.
showed me
And
a little bit.
A lot of people would bring that up. They were like, "Oh snap! I didn't know Alec's grandfather was this and that." And I was like, "Yo, like, yeah, you actually listen." It felt good for people to come up to me with a deep conversation because that was like at the 30-something minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. That means like they listened, like that was deep into the episode. It made me feel good.
He definitely played a big role in how I form my beliefs today. Well, how I maneuver today mentally, because again, this is these philosophies that you grow up with, they really stick with you and they guide you with how you think about things and your logical processes and stuff like that, right? And so for me, it was very important to understand other people's threads of logic rather than focus on like the little facts, the fringes of their religion, right? So like the little facts of, oh, this isn't true, this is true. That's really not important. What's important for me is the fundamentals of it. Like, what are your fundamental, core dogmas, right? True. And so, my grandfather was one guy that, interesting, again, straight from Puerto Rico, and having a grandfather that's Puerto Rican atheist is one of those things. It's just like holy, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And he's the one that showed me. It really encouraged the answering of my questions through logical science, and giving me books whenever I had questions about things like that. I got children's books as a kid also, but having someone bolster that different aspect of life on you, it showed you that there were so many more ways to think about things.
I hear you.
And so as a kid going through like a CCD course, right, like in the Catholic course, for me, I was like, hold on, wait a second, I learned something else, from this, and shit started to contradict. So for me, it was I felt like I had to take my own way at that point.
I hear you, bro.
Yeah, so
your grandfather was a heavy influence on you. I hear that.
Super.
Ken,
Super.
what's up?
So I'm a bit of what you would call a foxhole atheist. So essentially what that means is like,
What the fuck does that mean?
most likely,
Foxhole atheist?
Yeah,
Never
so-
even heard of that term.
well, I had neither until someone used it, but it really describes, I guess, my belief. So I'm one of those people that on my deathbed probably still won't believe. And the reason for that is because, and I don't mean to be offensive here or anything like that, but there's nothing any human or any man can say to me that'll make me believe in any of the 3 Abrahamic religions or any dogmatic religion.
Religion
So for
in
me-
general, I think for you, right?
Right.
There's
I mean-
really nothing. Yeah.
So like Buddhism is not something that I have a problem with because there's no dogma behind that.
It's more of a philosophy.
It's a philosophy. Yeah, it's a way of thinking
right?
about life. But
Which I
for
enjoy
me,
learning about.
Christianity, Islam, Judaism, none of those, like, for me, based on the conclusions I've reached,
Right.
none of those could, there's no possibility I could believe any
They
of
don't
those
explain
ever.
it for you. Or-
It's not enough.
They don't help you understand anything.
It's not going to say that. It's just like, based on the dogmas that, like, based on the things that have to be true for those things to be true,
all right, yeah.
it makes
Absolutely.
no sense.
No,
All
I
right,
completely
I see
completely
what
get
you're
it. And that's kind of like where I come from. Like in my kind of state, it's the things that you the fundamental core principles. That's what I was getting at in the beginning. It's it's not so much the reality, because so for me, religion is a result of the collective human anxiety towards ignorance, right? We don't like to not know things, right? And so for us to maneuver this world that's semi-chaotic, savage, and how it is, just imagine how our ancestors were. They didn't know how to explain the stars, changing in the sky and how that correlated with, changing in
For
weather
sure. That's
patterns
why
and stuff
it's
like that.
You see the stories in Greek mythology and how
Absolutely.
it all has a point in kind of explaining how, things that couldn't explain be explained.
Absolutely. And that's how it started out. It started out with noticing that there were correlations, right?
Yeah.
So whenever the stars were in a certain position in the sky, boom, there was something going on Earth.
Right.
And the thing is that those things that were going on Earth were crucial for survival. You're talking about agriculture. You're talking about crops. You're talking about the falling of the leaves and the blooming of the leaves.
Yep.
That corresponded with that. So they saw that, and when they saw that, they gave it a face. They saw that it came so logically and so rhythmically and so almost in a pattern, in a smart kind of way. It's something that looked like it was done on purpose. They saw nature, and same way that we look at nature and saw things that look like they have like a purpose to it. And so by doing that, they gave it a face, because the face of man, right, just like the gods, right, because they have the face of men whenever they depict them, right. That's the only other thing that they knew to relate that was as logical, that was as intelligent. So they gave nature and they gave those phenomena a face. That's why there's sky gods, wind gods, fire gods.
I was actually
Right.
about to mention, like,
Sun being one of the most important.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Right.
I was talking with Mars earlier about this topic before, obviously, we recorded.
But what are your views on it?
And he mentioned, I'm going to get to that. And he mentioned something about the sun, which I'm actually want to get to a couple of segments after this. But my views, I mean, I would. So I guess I tried to go Catholic. I mean, I got baptized. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't get no first Holy Communion. I didn't do that. I went to masses from other
Oh,
cousins.
you stopped at the baptism?
Wait, can you
Yeah.
guys kind of
Yeah.
explain? Because I'm like, can you explain like what is being baptized like?
To be honest, bro,
Signify?
it's supposed to like cleanse you of your sins.
You want me to explain that?
No,
real quick?
not right now.
No,
Okay.
Baptism is just basically you're born with original sin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you get baptized, that's basically purifying that sin that you were born with.
That's
Yeah.
the spark.
That's
That's
what it is.
what
Yeah, so you're born with that original sin. So you never get baptized, you have that original sin forever.
And if you
Okay.
don't get, if you don't get,
And where does the
That's
original
crazy.
sin
Because in
come from?
Islam, it's and I don't want to get.
Is it
too-
Adam and Eve, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, Adam and Eve.
I don't want to get too ahead, but in the Muslim culture, we're all born with like a clean slate, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody's born.
That's a big difference.
Muslim
That's a big
and
difference.
Just clean, and until you become like matured and start being able to know right from wrong, that's when like you would, I guess, accumulate sin or whatnot. So
Type shit. But so yeah, I was raised Catholic, but I didn't really follow through with anything, man. I mean, and then as I got older, I never really read the Bible. I would pray, bro, but it's like I didn't feel like I was really praying, if that makes sense. Like I didn't feel like my words were actually being listened to.
They weren't fulfilling for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would consider myself sort of agnostic. Like I understand that there is a higher power. However, I don't claim him to be God or anything. I don't really believe in one set of religion. I'm sort of like Perp said.
That's
like,
where I stand too.
Like I'm sort of like one with like the universe and its energy and whatnot. I mean, if anybody knows me, they know I'm really big on energy. And for me, the way my life has been going, and you guys know, especially in this room, I've been speaking a lot of things into existence, a lot of things, and I didn't pray to one God. I didn't ask for anything to happen. I just spoke it and I put in the work.
That's
I
one.
mean, I
That's
feel
one of the. That's one of the biggest things I feel.
Yeah, so
one of the biggest problems I have with some, with some faith.
Yeah, so I feel like that's
Yeah.
pretty much like my thought on it. You can label me as agnostic, like I said, because I do understand that there is a higher power. I don't know who it is. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really call it.
It's okay not to know. That's
No,
that.
it
That's
is. I'm
that's
not
the
mad
biggest
at
thing.
myself. I'm not mad at myself.
Yeah.
I'm aware, and I do have Catholic family members who, they do preach to me. My Uncle A being one of them. You know what I'm saying? I love him. And I don't disrespect them though. I take in the word that they give me. I'm not one to brush them off at all. But I don't even know if they're aware of my views. But
My
It
grandma's
is what it
Jehovah's
is.
Witness.
I had a couple of neighbors that would knock on my door. Like literally, she's my neighbor right in front of me, knocking on my door. Like I'm good. I'm
My grandma converted at like 65 years old or something like that.
shit.
You know, I mean,
No, yeah, but,
I was young as hell.
it's interesting that you say that though about like speaking of things to existence, because there's a book called The Power of Habit. You guys should read it.
I remember
you
you
guys
reading that during
by
school.
I forgot his name. Charles Duhigg, I think.
Okay.
I believe, yeah. And so basically, what it talks about too in that book is basically tries to break down habits and stuff. That basically, and it basically says too that all the decisions you make on your daily basis aren't really decisions; it's habit. Very good read. You guys should read. I fuck with it. But basically, one thing they talks about is Obviously, some habits are easier to change than others. But he said it says anything can be changed. People that smoke cigarettes, packs a day, anything, alcoholics, anything. But one thing he talks about, they bring up Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, and they say that one of the biggest factors in people actually changing the habit and going through with it is belief. No, well, religion, well, belief in general, like a faith, a belief in something. Right. And for some people in AA, it was religion, but it doesn't necessarily have to be religion. Right. But for you, it's that higher power. So you get what I'm saying? So like basically, that's what allowed you to really go through with things. You know what I'm saying? Really get through is that higher power. You acknowledging it. Because that's the thing, you have to acknowledge something. That's what they say.
I think not having a belief in general, right? Not necessarily religion, right? So religion is just one form of understanding your reality, right? That's and to be honest, if you don't have that footing, it's just really uncomfortable to live. Yeah. It's just really uncomfortable to live. It's just that you have, you feel like you lack purpose. For me, I feel like I don't have like a purpose per se, like I was set on this planet to do something kind of thing. That's not how I think about it. I think about it as more of a, I set things going forward for myself. Not more like a predetermined kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And you know what's crazy, bro? The fact that you bring up the AAs is that one of my brothers that was in the shop getting a cut today, shout out to Johan. He's actually the host of his own wrestling podcast. I believe it's, I forgot what it's called. France, do you remember Johan's podcast, The Heels?
We'll get a few right now. We'll get a few right now.
However, he brought up how AA was based on mainly like faith and energy, but NA, the Narcotics Anonymous, is based over religion. So they sort of like talk about God with you, so that way you could sort of find like this, have this epiphany.
Because it is an easier way to think about it.
It is, especially when you're trying to overcome things like that. You always look to a higher power for help. You know
Which is why for me, I understand religion. This is my thing. It's like I feel like I understand religion. I might not agree with it, but I do understand it, and that's my goal, is to understand it, because it is very easy to, again, superimpose, human kind of characteristics on some sort of ideal, right? The perfect ideal is God, right? When it came to the polytheistic religions, you had the gods of hate and gods of war. You had gods of beauty, and those were the ideal gods of those, and they were all aspects of humanity. Those gods were, those gods were all aspects of humanity that were just amplified. The God of these Christian religions, right? These, what do you call them?
Abrahamic.
The Abrahamic religions, right? They are perfect ideals. They are ideals you cannot even touch. You can't. They're unaccessible.
Yeah, and I think that, I'm sure we're gonna get to it. But I believe that's because, like, I have my own idea behind it. So in Islam, Allah is Arabic word for God. So God essentially has no beginning, has no end, right? Has no children, is by himself. One of the main of the 5 pillars is literally like Shahada. Like, you have to literally, to believe in this religion, you have to know that Allah is by himself up there. Like, there's no other God but him. Mm-hmm. And Prophet Muhammad is his messenger, right? So with the idea that, there is no beginning or end for him, he, like, goes beyond the realm of time, and there is no like figure, So for me personally, I feel like it kind of ties into like the spirituality and kind of like just people believing in the universe and energy. And I feel like it's one in the same. That's how I personally interpret it.
So let's say me, how I believe. Like, I believe in the like, I'm more towards the universe right now. That's how I think about it right now. Like, I feel like I'm just. It's me being one with the universe. So you think me thinking like that, would I still be able to practice Islam? Like,
well, in a sense, that's how I feel. Because I feel like, so growing up,
like if I didn't view it as Allah, if I just view it as my relationship with the universe, would I still be able to practice it?
Can you call it a different name and still be that?
And be Muslim? Like, can you still
practice?
I believe so. I mean, even in the Allah says himself, Allah has 99 different names, right? So it's like. There was actually a song. Now I'm not gonna say it in Arabic because I don't want to butcher the like pronunciation. But it's like, the all merciful, the forgiving, the most gracious, the most patient. All these are like different words to describe one person, right? Or just one idea, which is God. So something that I've always grown up and how my father's always said that the way like religion he feels like should be your relationship with God. right? So in Islam, there are like essential rules that you have to follow as far as praying and
Who because I'm familiar with the with the Christian the obviously we have like the Ten Commandments as with the Catholic faith. Who gave you those? Because we have Moses that had given. Right.
Well, actually, let's get into that a little bit. So
Curious.
we believe in the Muslim.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to get so into it because we do have to go to a commercial break in about 3 minutes.
Commercial break.
So
commercial break.
we'll just
Gotta
go
pay
into
the
that
bills,
right
man.
now because
Wavy
I
track
do
break.
like that question. Let's
Yeah, let's let it rock.
question.
Let's let it rock.
So
Track
guys,
break.
we're gonna go to a quick commercial break.
Hasn't
You
even been
already
3
know what
minutes.
it is. Can you give me that song real quick? Actually, this is a song by Ben. Okay,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
guy right
yeah.
here. "So Me So" by Wande Coal.
Yes, sir.
Did I say it right? All right, guys, enjoy this track, man.
This
You
is
already
pretty
know what
dope.
it
I
is.
actually like the Afro feel.
That's right.
I get to girl where they trouble me, oh. She just dey bust my brain. She dey say she want my sugar cane. She dey twist my dress. Yeah, you sweet, yes. Yeah, you turn me up. And I'm in the grace for your body. So. Tell me what I've done to you. All I did is got to love for you. Tell me am I the one for you? Tell me am I the one for you? Tell me if I'm the one for you. Tell me am I the one for you? Because of you I sing this song for you. You made me go Iskama,
Actually, is bumping, bro. That is bumping, and that was "So Me So."
Some
by
ethnic
Wande
vibes.
Coal. Welcome back to the Check Box. You already know who it is. It's your boy Chec here. One more time for those joining us, we got a special guest on here, Banya Sylla, aka Ben. Ben, what's going on, brother?
What's popping, baby? It's
You
good.
already know what it is, man. Pleasure to have you on the show.
So
And
shout out to Staten Island, bitch.
yeah, man, this
Yo,
is
shout out Staten Island, man.
Staten Island over
Put some
here.
respect on that name, yo.
Staten Island native. Shaolin,
That's
shout
Is that
out
where
Wu
you came
Tang.
from right now? Like from Sylla?
Yeah, bro.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Straight from the block, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think this is?
What do you think this
We
is,
here,
man?
we
Straight
here.
from the blitty.
Shit.
Alrighty, guys. So, like I said, welcome back. And before this segment, we just introduced Ben a little bit. We spoke about episode 5, and we mentioned why this episode is a thing right now. Basically, because our last episode was on millennials, and the stigma with millennials is that they cannot really hold a stable conversation because of the huge indifferences and opposing views on a lot of things. And we're here to prove you guys wrong. And this episode is the beginning of a series called Religion. This episode will be focusing on the aspect of the Islamic State of Muslim. You know what I'm saying? The religion of Muslim by my guy. Ben over
Religion of Islam.
here. Religion of Islam.
Yeah. So if you're
I was gonna say
the
that
religion,
earlier when
yeah.
I
So
said
the
that
religion
correctly.
is
Yeah, word. I was-
Islamic. You know,
Okay.
Islam is the religion. You're Islamic, and the people that follow they're Muslim.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Not
There we go.
Muslim that I be seeing, but Muslim.
Muslim.
Yeah.
I'm saying it correct?
No, you're saying it good, but I hear a lot of like Muslim.
Muslims for like British, right? Like British Muslims. That's how they say it.
So that's probably just the accent, but I be hearing it here. I'm like,
Okay. All right. And then before we left, Alec actually brought up a very good point regarding Christianity and the Ten Commandments, which are basically, the rules that the followers abide by and basically essentially what creates their whole belief. And Alec asked Ben if there were a set of his, if I'm not mistaken, and what does he follow pretty
Yeah,
much.
I
Alec, if you
know
wanna-
there's a set of his already.
yeah, for sure.
To be honest, I was just really curious as to who gave you, or who is said to have given you those commandments. I'm pretty sure that they were given by God, but through who?
Okay, so
Because, yeah.
quick answer, right, is Prophet Muhammad,
Okay.
right, is the guy that kind of, personally spoke to us, was a human representation, but messenger of, yes, yeah, the prophet. Brought down by word by Angel Jibril, and, just kind of slowly wrote what was the Quran, which is literally why it's the word of God, literally taken from the horse's mouth and just put it on like paper for us to follow and go through. So a longer answer to that is, in Islam we literally believe in, like, I would say, like the follow points, or like the breakdown of from Abraham or Ibrahim, in Arabic, going down to all the prophets, which include actually Jesus.
Right.
So Isa alayhi salam, Isa is his Arabic name, and so those all were like Allah passing a message of His word down, and we believe that it kind of got corrupted, just reworded, and wasn't like I guess pure.
Right.
It was edited, so He would have to send another messenger to kind of get people back in the line, and then. Muhammad is the last. So there was many, Abraham, Musa is the last one. So that is what the last one, the one that wasn't edited and hasn't been changed like a word since, a letter since.
Wow,
Like,
that's
pretty interesting that you bring that up because he was actually talking about how how he wouldn't take, for example, like a man's word, right, through that. And it's amazing how, a lot of what, in the Bible and in Islamic religion and even in Judaic religions as well, that they take man's word for that, and the fact that he had to choose different people to transfer his, to translate his word in the most clear way.
Yeah, it's literally like such a pivotal, important thing, right? One of them is there's no other God but Allah, right? Don't believe in idols. You would never see if you heard about like the French bombings and it was like a cartoonist drawing Prophet Muhammad. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Or it's not allowed, right?
Right. So basically, you don't want any pictures of God or His prophets because what happened is, or in history, people start to worship those images.
Right.
Right.
And not God Himself.
And not God Himself.
Kind of like
Wow.
how the Catholics follow saints,
Yeah.
for example. That's something right there that I feel like would be something that the Islamic religion would be very much opposed to, and why they might look at Christianity as something that is, I guess, sacrilegious
Right.
in some sort of way.
In a sense,
And I'm not saying all Muslim religions. What I'm saying is that how certain sects might view that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
So it makes sense.
So yeah, so that's kind of so to say like the guide of it, I guess, to say. Kind of lost what I was saying.
No, you're good. I mean, I feel like you pretty much essentially answered that question that Alec brought up, which is a very good question, Alec. And this leads me to my next kind of thought for all of us, being that we all come from, different views. Like, how important are these beliefs that you have to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? HP, I actually want to start with you, bro. Like, how important is being one with the universe to you?
I don't know. I would say right now, probably when I think about like how much I think about this stuff, probably not that it's not that important, but it's not something I'm constantly like thinking about. It's kind of like when I'm at a point in my life where it's like I gotta focus on this a little bit. I kind of think about it more and get deeper. But it's not something that I have placed any importance on. Just because I feel like when I do place importance on it, I don't like where it takes me. Like mentally, just
What does it take?
I feel like it drains me. Because then I start thinking about so many like things. I get real deep in my thoughts.
It's
It
overwhelming.
Yeah,
does become-
exactly.
become
Boom. That's
overwhelming.
exactly what it is.
And you know what it is too, especially when we don't have, so for example, like a grounded religion, like, something set with its lines already preformed, like some already established religions like Catholicism, for example, like how we were raised, that is manageable. You know what I'm saying? We have a rule book. We have a set of laws. We gotta stay.
You have a guidance.
But when you just rock with the universe, bro, it's really you have to fend
There's
for
no rules.
yourself.
Yeah.
And if
There's
you
no
don't
rules.
have that discipline, if you don't have that kind of mentality to maneuver that, I do it through science, but I want to know how you do it.
Well, that's the thing. I honestly, it's kind of like where I'm at. The way I view it too is almost like lately I've been like, I gotta figure these things out for myself. I can't not that I can't run away from it, but like I can't be afraid to try to really
Counter those
to
questions.
try to face these things, right? Because
Right.
that's part of it as well. Is honestly like me getting so deep that I'm like, all right, this shit is getting real,
Right. And
real scary right now. Like,
And I sympathize with you because, even within, like I said earlier in opening of this podcast, I'm a semi-practicing Muslim because
I'm curious about that actually.
Yeah.
so I'm trying to like, so I'm not like, so let me like preference everything I'm going to say. Like, they didn't pick me here because I'm some like, Islamic scholar. You know, I'm essentially like John's
I would love to
blind
have
brother.
one also. I
We
mean,
should
that would
definitely
be-
share,
That
'cause
would
it-
be awesome, man.
that
We have
would be
you in
dope.
here too. Just
So, you know, I'm more of like somebody that was born into the religion of Islam, just understands the way that just Muslims things and kind of had to grow up in that light. But I think influenced by my culture and by society, I've grown to kind of try and develop my own thought within the religion, right?
Gotcha.
You know, my father has always told me, like, listen, you have to kind of find out, like, your own relationship with God. Because, unfortunately, like, our family has been abused by the, I would say, powers or the controllers or the leaders within the religion today.
Yeah, and I feel like
Right.
anytime you give power to a man like that,
Yeah.
you know, with that they hold your reality in your hand, which
Well,
is
it's
essentially
more
what
or
a
less
religious
like-
leader does.
Yeah,
That's
for sure,
dangerous.
yeah.
That's dangerous for
With-
me, and
w-
this is why I don't want my children to be brought up in any sort of religion.
Well,
And we'll get into that.
I
Where do your
think
parents
that-
come from?
all right, so my family's from Mali, West Africa.
Oh, wow.
So Mali, yeah. So Mali, you probably won't find too many like Malians around
yeah.
because
Actually,
you might like
more Senegalese. I feel like
Senegalese
West
too,
Africans,
yeah, so-
I get encounter more.
well, Senegal and Mali are like right next door.
Yeah.
But because we were colonized by the French,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
aussi.
I don't understand.
Oh,
I don't
shit.
speak it.
Oh.
My parents speak it very fluently in the schools, but j'ai parlé français comme ci comme ça, you know what I mean? So,
Nigga, we out to Quebec. We out to Quebec.
Quebec,
What the fuck you talking about?
Quebec, bro.
Quebec, nah, so back.
Sorry.
Born and raised in. Well, my dad was actually born in Boaké, which is Ivory Coast, which is right next door. And my family's all from Mali. My mother was born in Nkai, Mali. You know, they grew up there. My dad actually came to America in the 80s, trying to work, and had a previous marriage before I got divorced, and decided he was ready to get married the traditional way,
Mm-hmm.
and just called some people back home like, I need a wife, and it was arranged.
What's that process like? I'm actually very curious. Like, what is
Time
that?
out.
I'm sorry.
Wait, you say he called back home and
Hold on.
said I need a wife.
Basically,
Hold
need
on.
a wife.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
what's
no,
up with
that-
it?
that-
Send me
I wanna
wife,
talk-
That is what it is, man.
Listen, I do want to talk about marriage. That's
Yes,
next up.
yes, yes,
Alright,
yes.
I
we
wanna
have
get-
to
I'm
get into that.
No, you're cool. We're getting excited. It's cool. It was.
Smooth
I'm
with it.
sorry. I'm sorry to ruin it. I'm sorry. Whoever
Send
was
me
interested.
another
in
one.
Yo, sneak peek.
That's what
Another
I'm saying.
one.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm
Trying
saying?
to get me in trouble, Josh.
I'm sorry.
Trying to
You
give
feel
me
me?
some
I want to
trouble,
talk
man.
about marriage, and we will get there later. We will get there later.
Yeah.
So you
Wait.
pretty much answered the
Oh,
importance.
no, yeah, and I was gonna say like when I say
Oh,
like
yeah, I went on a
my
tangent,
thoughts
my
like
fault.
No, you good. You
Nah,
sort of
yeah.
answered it too, though.
I mean we kind of
Subconsciously.
we need to get you to say more because you know what I'm saying
You're
you're
the
the guest.
Yeah, man. Listen,
Oh,
man.
Jinx,
This
I
is-
don't know what, even though this
To
is
be
what-
more
Yo.
assertive, bro. If you
Yeah.
be talking too much,
Yeah,
just
you
be like,
you
"Oh,
can overpower
Yo,
us
shut
at
the
any
fuck up.
time.
Oh, whoa. No,
Whoa.
no profanity.
Yeah.
No profanity.
But
We'll have Mars leave it out.
like, but I was gonna
Oh,
say
really
is,
don't curse? Oh.
when I say like my
Oh,
thoughts
okay.
like they get scary. What I mean more is like confusing. It gets super confusing for me when and it's like all right, like I start realizing every time I think about it, I realize even more how much I don't know.
No, I feel you. and
So it's like what the fuck.
I feel
But
like I'd like Ben said, I sympathize with you on that too, especially the fact that I already told you I'm agnostic. So that's pretty much not that all I rely on, bro, but the energy is very. I feel like.
so
it's
you
a-
might as well just say how
Yeah,
you.
no, I am. It's
going
important to
into
me. It is important to me. Energy is very big on me, bro. You guys know every time I come to a room or some shit or I'm meeting new people, I'm telling y'all like, yo, energy not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
but the energy's not there.
Look at
Or
this
even amongst us,
extrovert
bro.
over
Listen,
here.
we've had times where we're just chilling and one of these guys or even me, we're feeling down or whatever the case may be, and we not tell each other. And I'll be the one to be like, yo, your energy. You know what I'm saying? Like you got fixes, bro.
It's something you
For
can't
sure,
put,
for sure.
put a word on.
I
it.
can't,
Yeah.
bro. It's just
It's
energy.
just-
I can't. It's your
Energy
vibe.
is the
Your energy.
best word for it. I mean, and to be honest, people have the like kind of like stigma, like oh, energy.
Not even. I think it's being overused.
I don't
like-
think it's
You know
over, no, the thing is that like I mean, what other word do you want to put on?
Listen,
it?
I use
To
it
be
all the
honest,
time, but
he's-
yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, but I mean, like he makes a great point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure.
Like that's just me. So I would say it's important to me, but I don't think about it as much as you do because it does put me in a mindset where I don't want to be. Where I'm sitting there thinking about shit that happened 4.5 years ago, and I start ending up thinking about things I said 7 months ago to myself that was gonna happen, and now it's not here. Now I'm in my thoughts, and it's like, oh, I'm eating myself alive here.
Right.
That's
Sure.
what you mean by scary? Because I kind of feel you on that, bro.
I don't think that's.
That shit. Listen, man.
That's different.
Not
Nah.
that I get there a lot.
You're-
I have gone there.
That's it's more existential. It's like when you
little
think
more
about like
secular right there,
like when just think about like the Big Bang Theory and all this type of shit, and God, how they say God was just there. So you think about like how the fuck this one when I was younger, this one used to fucking get me, bro. I'd be like at night, bro. I'd be laying down in bed right before I go to sleep, and I'm like, yo, like. How could God have just been there? You know what I'm saying? Like, how was he just? And not that I'm trying to, like, I was really I was really trying to figure it out.
That's a legitimate question.
You feel me? Like, cause especially me, like with the astronomy shit that I've said before. Like, I love astronomy and stuff like that. So, the Big Bang Theory, when you think about what that says, this nigga's
Gonna have to edit that out.
fucking huevo head.
Dickhead.
But
I think you just got the table excited.
yeah, but like the Big Bang Theory and stuff like that, like how shit just came from nothing. That really baffles me.
It
What were you
does.
saying?
It does.
Yeah, and I kind of like take that idea and I kind of relate it to like numbers within a sense, which is weird, right? So the idea of the number 0, right, and they're being
It's
negative.
amazing.
And then say again.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
right.
amazing.
So
The
then,
numbers
but
are-
then there are numbers that come in front of that, right?
Yeah.
Negative. So in a sense, like
The infinite.
which is infinite too. So there is technically when I think about it, it's kind of no like starter into like the time. Like time is something that we kind of created
And
to measure.
thing.
Yeah, it's a man-made thing.
Oh, time. Yo,
So
and-
that idea is kind of like
So much of
how
our
I
reality
relate
is
to what God
man-made.
is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much of our reality is man-made, and I think that's what's incredible about it. I mean, for example, you just talk about 0. What about between 1 and 2? Or
Right.
between 0 and 1?
Yeah.
Oh,
There are
shit.
infinite amounts
That's
of
us-
numbers
yeah.
between.
I'm
For
a
sure.
math major. I deal with that shit all the time. I don't
time,
want to. I don't want to.
That's
I want to go
Now
into
that
that.
you're on
right
the
Dude, we
now.
gotta talk about
That
this.
shit
Now
is-
that you're on the
Gotcha,
mic, man,
bro.
tell
Let's
us
go,
about
let's
your
go, let's
beliefs
go.
and how important
Yo,
it is.
y'all
to
just
you,
made me
bro.
realize some other shit. That's crazy.
So for most of my life, I struggled with belief, you could say, because like I would say up until about 11, I had no idea who Jesus was or God or any of that other shit. Other shit.
Oh,
And then I went to
Did
Bible
you not?
camp.
Or your parents not like?
The
religious
thing
at
is,
all?
they like my father is loosely religious, and so is my mom,
Okay.
and they
a
just
Jamaican that's loosely religious.
yeah. Well, see, my grandmother and my aunts are the ones who are really, really religious, and my dad was the one who's
We got
like,
some
yeah,
unicorns
I
on this
guess.
side.
Yeah,
Shit.
no.
Lots of unicorns being mentioned on the podcast
Damn.
alone.
But my
Stereotypical bastards.
I don't even know what the
What?
he wasn't talking about us.
I don't even know where that come
These
from.
two
Yeah, he wasn't talking about us.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So like
Let
it-
Jamaicans be Jamaicans, bro.
Oh,
Let the Coronas live, my fucking
Let
guy.
the Coronas live.
All right,
damn.
all right, and Luther, like, all right, all right.
oh my god.
Let it be.
But so in my family, we they send all the youngins to this Bible camp called Pine Bush. It's literally in Pine Bush, New York,
Okay.
upstate.
Really? Wow.
They're actually a town that believes in aliens. It's really weird, but
Really?
yeah, it's crazy. But my family is known for sending every like my dad went there, my cousins went there, my aunts, they all went there. So when I went for like 2 weeks or something like that with my sister when we were like 11, or I was like 11, she was like 9 or 10. And it was like the scariest experience of my entire life. Like I was not presented with this idea that was like, if you don't believe and you knowingly don't believe, like you're gonna burn in a fire pit forever. And
Was that how it was?
I mean, that's
how it
like that's how I interpreted it. And it's like, but like it's like it literally.
What did they say to you?
Well, they would
what
have
did-
a
That's very different.
they would have a passage. Like obviously, they want you to
Right.
accept it willingly.
Right.
But it's like if you don't accept it willingly, you're
So they have to
tasked
kind
with
of
this.
candy coat it just a little bit so that you
I
can.
wouldn't say they candy coated. I
Okay.
mean, we used to we used to in the morning have like those on projector screens. They would be like, "What happens when you deny the word of God?" And they would literally tell you. I mean, you're gonna burn in a fire pit forever. I mean, that's really what they would tell you. But like, so like for years that fucked me up. Like all the way
pasada.
into middle school, into high school, and sometime around I guess my sophomore or junior year of high school, I just started to really look into what it is that these people, because I went to Catholic school for middle school and then Catholic school for high school. So I didn't really I was fed all these different answers and all these different belief system. I didn't know what to believe. So finally in high school I was like, okay, I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. And I still didn't get to the bottom of it until about, I would say like, until about 2 years ago is when I started to form my own solid, like unchanging view of the way, because I finally got all the answers that I needed. So I guess to relate that back to how important I guess religion and faith is to me now, it's not. And I struggle to find my own purpose in life. I never used to, but I've started to realize how important religion actually is for people and the structure that it gives to people. Yeah, exactly. And I took that for granted because, you know, I grew up not believing in anything, not knowing anything, but still living my life without questioning it. So now it's like I'm still trying to find what I live for. I don't know what I live for anymore. You know what I'm saying? Before it was just I lived for, you know, I just lived to see the next day. Or, you know, I lived to finish high school, college. And then when those things started to fade, it's like, okay, what do I live for now? You know?
That
and
is
I don't.
not
I'm still
depressing
trying
at
to
all.
Yeah, it's.
But
I'm not trying to make it depressing. It's just something happened in my life that made me question everything. So I'm in the process of rebuilding that, trying to find what is my purpose. And it's not depressing. I mean, some nights it is depressing, but it's just something I accept because I know what I believe and I know what I don't believe, and I'm trying to reconcile both. I'm trying to, okay, how can I form a solid sort of in between of that? And that's where I am in my life now.
Like a nice,
like
a nice balance.
Alec, man, what's up? Tell us what it is to you. You know what I'm saying? And then we're gonna go to a quick commercial break, brother. What's up?
Sure.
How important is this to you?
It's very important. I mean, it like I said, religion is how most of us view our reality, how we all find our grasp of reality, how we have our footing, our foundation in this world so that we can move forward with whatever we want to do and whatever we feel like we need to do, right? Whatever that may be. Some people feel like they need to find a purpose in themselves. Some people feel like they need to feel like they know where they came from and they know where they're going, for example, right? Where they go after death, where they were before life, right? And so, I mean, these are things that we're going to be talking about later on in this segment, because different religions think about it differently, right? But for me, I think it's super important to understand that we fundamentally just want to know and we just want to understand. That's just really creatures. We are curious creatures because if you think about it,
curiosity killed the cat.
And no, seriously, no. To be honest, when it comes to religion, when it comes to understanding everything, right? It comes down to evolutionarily what is favorable for survival. What is favorable to survival? And at the end of the day, it's amazing how nature works in that it would make the fact that you feel like you know something way more desirable than you not. So, for example, when I said that religion was a result of a collective anxiety towards ignorance, that I believe is wholeheartedly true, because how many times have you felt just ignorant of something or just that you did not know something and how uncomfortable you felt about it? For example, when a girl doesn't hit you up for an extended amount of time.
I just thought to move on, bro. I don't know about you. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Te pasaste. Yo, it depends on the chick.
No, you're right. I agree.
Really cared about her,
you know,
I'd
have anxiety.
His bag.
She's a top 5 baddie.
Dude,
I'm gonna be like, damn.
That ignorance will eat at you, bro.
For sure.
That ignorance will eat at you. However, you knowing, whoa. Why is that? Your body is hardwired to favor, right? To favor through positive reinforcement, through that dopamine fix, serotonin fix.
You see how you're trying to flip it? See how you're trying to flip that real quick? The serotonin and the dopamine. But I'm hearing you. I'm just listening.
But whatever, your body, nature favors what feels good. Okay? But nature favors what feels good because what feels good usually is what is pro-survival. So knowing something is so pro-survival that it almost feels good to know something.
It does.
And it does feel good to know
it
something. It feels great to know something.
It's like a control thing.
When I know things.
You feel in control.
And that is not a coincidence, bro. And what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not a coincidence. Is that it is evolutionarily favorable towards our organismic being to understand where we are. Regardless of whether it's accurate or not, if we understand and it's consistent with what we're seeing, that is something that is going to make us feel good. And so religion, I feel like deep down, that's what religion does to us. It gives us a grounding. It gives us an idea of where we are. It gives us, regardless of whether it's right or not. And that's why it's so different for different people, because they're isolated. Right, yeah. It makes them feel good and they stick to it. And on top of that, even more on top of that, the fact that multiple people feel the same
Yeah,
way.
it reinforces it.
And that
Makes the belief stronger.
And on top of the fact that I think, and I'm not sure if we talked about this in the last segment, but I mean not in the last segment, but in a past segment, the fact that the fact that the community is favored over the individual for survivability, obviously that makes sense because obviously groups are going to be more likely to survive than a solo, right? That compounded with that idea of the fact that, you know, of what I just said. Think about it. If more people are believing in the same thing,
y'all are gonna feel empowered.
You guys are gonna feel completely empowered, and that is how I feel religion came about.
I think that's more or less how religion was manipulated by man to control.
I don't think
right?
no. Control came later.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I personally don't think the like well, I mean, I think that boils down to like how we view religion, right? Or how our religion is kind of...
No. I think we mean the same thing. I think we believe the same thing. I think we're thinking about the same thing. But I think you're catching me a little bit off. I
feel like what you're saying boils down to how man came and manipulated the idea of religion.
That I believe,
and you believe,
after.
and I believe
came after the fact. I understand that. I understand how man manipulated religion.
How did man manipulate religion?
Oh, easily. I
can go on, man. I mean, let me show you like
maybe I'm not the only one that doesn't.
But I say a quick
Council of Nicaea. Hello, let's go. I got you, bro.
What do you got on that?
I mean, the quick.
Well, I mean,
if I can interject
really quick, because we about to go to commercial break anyway. Really quickly. What you think?
I think. What kind of explain it, or well, I feel like a quick example is kind of like, if you look at, like most African American families, especially down in the South, right?
Oh, I know where you're going.
If you look at them, right, for the last names are changed, right, and their religions, are mostly Christians,
Seventh-day Adventists, things like that.
Right. Yeah. So that is because
my grandmother's.
They were taken over, like, they were slaves and given a new identity and a new name. And
their culture was destroyed. Yeah.
There's no way you coming from all those indigenous places or back times and not having
a little bit of that.
Yeah, right?
They were culturally cleansed.
Well, when we come back, I want to talk a bit of history about that because I know some history about it.
We got some time. Now we got some time.
We got some time. Okay, so I mean,
got time today.
So we
got about 7 minutes.
So religions back when I guess predating Christianity, predating monotheism, I should say. Okay. Religion was a fluid, it was a fluid system of belief. So you believed in many gods and you believed what was convenient at the time. So predating Christianity, they believed in I think it was the water god Baal, B-A-A-L. Baal.
B-A-A-L?
Yeah, Baal.
There's a tag.
Isn't that like
there's a writer?
Isn't that like a demon?
There's a writer.
No, it's not a demon. No.
I know that. There's a graffiti writer that writes Ball.
I could have sworn that was a demon.
Continue.
But the people in the Middle East and everything like that, specifically them, they believed in many, many, many gods. Okay. And so polytheism was the norm everywhere. Every culture and every human society.
Greeks, Romans.
Yeah. And so
Mesopotamians, hello. Yeah.
And so it was only until
Hindus.
Monotheism came around that dogma was all of a sudden inflicted. Because now man was like, I want to have a sort of stronger society, right? I don't want to be challenged in my beliefs. I don't want to be challenged about, I don't want other people worshiping other things because it takes power away from what I can do. Mm-hmm. And the monotheism, specifically Judaism, actually, was what started all of that. Is what started you have to believe this and only this. And that was the start of it. So from Judaism on all the way into Islam, that is where monotheism is the source of dogma. Before that, there was no dogma.
Question: the monotheism. I'm not sure if you can answer that, but monotheism, did it start with the Judaism? Did it start with Judaism?
Yeah, Judaism's first.
No, because thinking about it now is just like holy shit. Like, like I don't really know any of any other monotheistic religions.
Well, I mean, it's probably possible. It's just maybe it's not just as popular within the sense.
Actually, I can. Thinking about the Roman, there was actually, so for example, towards the end of the Roman Empire, there was a sect that just worshipped the sun, right? Apollo, that worshipped the god Apollo. So you had these normally the higher ranking, pagans, they would call them at that time, because again, Christianity was starting to bleed
well,
in.
And also at that time, Christianity was still fluid. So like people believed in
but
Judaism,
it was there were fringe religions. You have to understand.
They were fringe.
At that time,
and that's what I'm trying to say.
religions.
They were fringe religions.
And it's really interesting, the story of Christianity and how Christianity. So super quick before the break, Christianity ended up superimposing upon the pagan.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
The pagan religion, and the reason that happened is really interesting. The Roman Emperor Constantine ended up wanting to unite his nation. He ended up wanting to unite his empire, and so what he ended up doing was taking. So the higher ranking officials were all pagans that believed in the Roman gods. All the common people believed in the Christian gods. And so what he did was he wanted to unite all of them, so he ended up putting all the holidays in the same. So, for example, Christmas is one of those holidays.
Yeah.
And it goes on for that, but I mean, that's just a brief
I had no
context.
idea. Wow, that's crazy, bro.
You know what?
That's a fact.
A lot of you might notice I'm really not talking a lot, and if you're watching, I'm literally sitting and just looking at everyone speaking, because probably like you, I don't know a lot of the things that are going on here. I'm learning a lot from this episode.
For sure,
from all
man.
different lines, and it's a great thing. And this is actually where we're going to go to our second commercial break. I want you guys to enjoy this track. I actually heard this at a Roy Woods concert with my man's HP here.
Yo, thanks first of all. You know how big of a Roy Woods fan I am.
I know,
This
I'm
motherfucker
sorry.
did not invite me, call me, but send me a snap like, yo, I'm at the concert. I'm like, yo, I love it. Like, it's crazy.
Roy
Got
Woods
you.
is the shit.
Yo,
Roy Woods is
the
the
shit, man.
Shout out to Roy Woods. Okay,
Not
this
that
is
bad.
Physical Attraction by Shakatak. Enjoy this track, guys. Box, it is your boy Chec, and that was Physical Attraction by none other than Shakatak. And once again, for those joining us, we have a special guest on set, my line brother Banya Sylla, aka Ben. And Ben, what's going on?
What's popping, baby?
You good?
I'm chilling.
Chilling. Today's topic.
Cold coffee here. I'm
Cold
happy.
coffee.
Yeah,
you
man.
want it hot? You should have told us to heat it up during the break, man.
I want you in it.
Mind
Cold
you, it
coffee.
was too late.
Spicy.
Hey.
Wait, son.
He said he wants me a nigga. I'm spicy.
That's
Yeah,
That's how we should. That's how we
That'll be
should.
shit, you know what I mean? That's that
You know
full.
what it is.
That's
You
that
know what
Bernie
I'm
Sanders
saying?
shit.
Anyway, guys, and we're back. And today is the first episode of a religion series, and our first episode is presenting the practice of Islam. Okay, my guy is what did you say?
I'm like a half practicing.
Half practicing
You know what I mean?
Muslim.
Just
Okay.
figuring it out for myself.
Give us a little teaser of them.
Yeah. So tell us
So-
basically, growing up in Mali and shit. How was
Well,
the
actually,
Islam religion?
I didn't grow up in
Well, you
Mali.
didn't grow up in Mali. I know that.
Shit on me.
I know that.
I thought you loved me.
should know that. I'm sorry, OP. But yeah, tell us how it was. What's your take on the whole, religion aspect of things and what you grew up with, essentially?
So
I'll fight all four of y'all right now. Like,
Yeah, sure.
why y'all coming at me for? Yo,
Ain't
you
nobody-
see this?
Yo,
It's
nobody's coming
Yo,
at
they
you. We
jealous.
just stating the
Check.
obvious.
Yo,
that's crazy, man.
out
A fucking
of
huevo head.
Ben, man, tell us about it. Let's go.
David, let me sip on my water real quick.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
man.
goddamn
Agua
agua.
sauce. The hydration, we getting hydrated. Let's get it.
That's right. That's right. Shout out to Friend Famous here.
Not that boss said.
So, so born Muslim, right? So I feel like, religion is just like a lot of times, or most of the time, is cultural based, right? So that's how my family kind of takes it, and that's the reason, like, it's kind of continued through, right? Africans are very like culturally strong, and just want to believe in the same things, stay in the same ways, and continue that tradition. as far as I know, like, Mali has been a religious state for like thousands of years, right? So even when Mali was an empire before it was a country, there was a ruler, you might know him, heard of him, Mansa Musa,
yeah.
who made like a huge pilgrimage to Hajj and was like known for being, considered to be one of the richest men in the world or in history.
And the most generous.
Yeah, because he was just giving out gold and stuff, and just like his slaves were holding like gold staffs and stuff and dressing like the finest of silks. Right. So that is like the first ideas that I knew that Mali was a religious state and why it's been passed down since then. I don't know if you guys have probably heard and plenty of rap songs too, like Timbuktu.
Yes.
Timbuktu. So that's actually in the northern half of Mali.
Really?
So his empire actually
Timbuktu
built.
is it Mali?
Yeah, it's a city in Mali.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a name of like a person, Timbuktu.
No, it's
I knew it was a place. I just didn't know where.
It's a city. It's a city in northern Mali. Right. So actually, people don't even know this. Like the Sahara Desert actually stretches from Egypt all the way across to the western side of Africa. Like that whole top.
It's as big as the U.S.
It's huge. Yeah.
Oh,
so.
I think it's the U.S.
Yeah, bro.
Yo,
it's huge.
That's not that base. Damn.
So imagine he took a voyage to go to Hajj, which is one of the 5 pillars. Like every Muslim's supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. So he went over there, went through there, learned so much and gained knowledge. Came back and built like the library of just like culture, religion, just everything up in Timbuktu, and like just kind of built that in Mali. It was like the hub of the Western world, or the Western Africa within a sense. So ever since then, that's been the religious, Mali's, I believe, like 96 or 97% Muslim, just the population. So
that's awesome, bro.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Growing up, that's the only thing I really knew from the beginning. Born Muslim, it's just the things, you would never find pork in the house. Ever. Like, that's not something I would have to think about.
I'm very curious about that. Do you know the actual the
thing behind that?
It was more like
verse, I think, right?
Yeah, so it's more or less like it's more of God just saying like this is a dirty animal. Yeah. And to stay away from it. It's unclean, it's unclean. Mm-hmm. I think more or less it's like it was like really hard to cook. Yeah. And it would make itself.
I was gonna say historically, I think it was people kept getting sick from eating pig. So around that time when they were, trying to, cook it, like figure it out, people were getting deathly ill. Yeah. So Muhammad was just like, or God was just
not
like,
Muhammad. Yeah, God, Allah was like, don't eat that. Yeah.
Really quick, because it is extremely relatable to what you said. Bachatero died today. Oscar.
Someone had actually posted that.
Yes. He passed away. Bachatero passed away because he ate pernil in DR that was basically undercooked. And the bacteria supposedly traveled to his brain, and that's what killed him. Supposedly, that's what my father told me.
Been telling y'all for a minute.
Pernil, bro, which is pork in Spanish, obviously.
Right. So,
crazy.
Yeah. Family, all of our big events.
Literally have a lechon.
We got a big pig.
How do you
R.I.P.
in DR?
R.I.P. We know we all definitely dance to many of his songs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dying from pernil.
From pernil, bro. Just enjoying the meal. That's nuts. LB, get back to that though.
What was I saying? I lost my thought.
Basically, that the swine was a dirty animal. This is what God.
Okay,
was
yeah.
saying.
So like that was in. So that was in my household. Just eat that.
Encourage this. We want you guys to eat pernil if you ever.
That's what you believe.
I've heard it's good. I've never had it, but
it's popping. But my Dominican people. Yeah, eat that shit way too fucking much. Yeah,
facts. No, y'all go to I go to gatherings.
Yo, I'm telling you right now.
Y'all eat it too much. Like I shouldn't know what it is. I don't speak Spanish. I shouldn't know what it is. Like I know it, which is dope. But y'all eat
we don't mean to go too much off topic, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah. You looking out for your peoples. I feel you.
Nah, yeah, just because.
We all as a whole should slow down.
Nah, just because real quick, my dad had a store on the Lower East Side, right? We used to serve food there. All like for lunch and dinner, he would have the pernil. And bro, when I tell you, it would go crazy. People would be calling in for orders of trays, and bro, it would go crazy every day. It was like this, and I was just like, yo, damn, like for the people that used to ask for deliveries, it was the same people every day, bro.
Control those guys. That's it.
Nah, I mean, it's a store.
It's what you want.
If you don't get it,
but that's just the history of like why we don't eat it, I guess. And so that was definitely in the household. Things like that, like just having a prayer rug just laying around. I actually don't drink to this day because of that too. Like, you would not see any person in my family that I know of drinking any type of alcohol.
Where does that come from? I'm
So-
curious. Where does the not drinking
Not smoking.
come from?
So-
Not smoking
and
come
it's
from? I'm
and
curious
the
about
most
that.
religious,
Yes,
Islamic
water,
is
by the way.
kind of
Yeah, I was
I
actually
like
going to point that out in the
Wine glass.
beginning, but I didn't want to be a...
Alec had wine.
So
I drank
it's
it all.
said that you shouldn't do anything that like intoxicates your body
Okay.
or your like throws your mind off as far as like
I'm curious though
Nah.
because they do they
Yeah,
do,
they do.
smoke like for example
Hookah.
tobacco hookah and
Yeah, for sure.
and stuff like
So-
that. Well, how do they view that?
well, I mean like any religion, not everyone's following every single rule. You know?
No, but
that's what it
but-
comes down to. But it's a sin because you're ruining the inside of your body.
No, but
Yeah.
but is that something that they go knowingly against, or is that something
Yeah.
that they that
They just
there,
let it
is there
slide.
like a loophole, for example? Like
Nah.
is it like
Nah.
is
Nah,
it something
it's
that
just-
they're just like
you're
oh,
really not supposed
okay,
to do
that's
that,
it.
yeah.
It's just like a cultural thing.
Yeah, it's just a cultural thing, you know.
I actually got 2 questions.
What's up?
Could you take us through the 5 pillars real quick?
Yeah. So
And do you believe in the jinn?
in the what?
The jinn.
The
He
jinn
actually spoke about them the
actually
other day.
spoke
That's
about them.
crazy.
So
Very
just
curious.
the
Very
Yeah,
curious
just
about
just
that.
explain it to us that for those who don't know the jinn and what you personally believe about it.
just about the jinn just being around
Well,
and
well,
just
first of all, the
yeah.
5 pillars, and then we go.
Yeah,
so
both.
damn. All right, hold on. Let me just finish my thought real
Oh,
quick.
yeah,
and then
sorry,
we
sorry,
get
yeah,
we
sorry
just
about that.
just
No,
remind me.
don't
so I can
finish.
get
Get
back.
right into it. What the fuck?
So, yeah, just grew up just not eating pork. Just certain things were just always around me, normal. I actually went to an Islamic, which is kind of weird, but an Albanian Islamic elementary school.
That actually makes sense.
It does make sense.
It makes sense.
absolute sense.
Albanians.
But like, think
are
about just
Muslim.
me
I didn't
being
know
like one of like 5 African kids in the school and just growing up, just that setting and having to deal with like that culture and that having to do with the religion and it's weird because I've
And there's so many different
Yeah.
cultures as well.
yeah
Albanian
oh my
that
god
are Muslim,
yeah
you know what I'm
so
saying?
that's why I
Like-
feel like I'm so like people tell me like I'm very like outgoing and feed off energy and like I'm very easy to talk to and very open. I think it's due to my upbringing and just being like around so many different cultures, being with Arabics or
and Eastern Europeans as well.
yeah, so
you
like
know.
a lot of like Albanian, Turkish,
Yeah.
people from Bangladesh, like Saudi Arabia, like one of my good friends is Palestinian, Shakatak Ahmed down in Maryland, Manassas, Virginia, and so I was just like the religion has opened a lot of eyes. I don't think like a lot of people that maybe might have my skin color or be where I'm from might have been exposed to. So I'm really like blessed and lucky for that. And the idea of Islam, like kind of, I felt like really stuck with me in the far of like the traditional, like, what I feel like religion kind of helps little kids is like your values and your morals. And I
Right.
think it's why I'm kind of like such, consider this good guy or, very calm and very like trying to open and trying to just learn from people around me and whatnot. So.
What do you feel like your life would have been without Islam? Or what do you feel like your life would have been without any of this? Do you feel like you would have had a footing on reality? Do you think like, you would have had some sort of direction?
No, I say would I without it? I think I'd be the same as I am because I feel like I don't within a sense, because I try to determine what is like that religion for me and what my relationship with Allah is, and for that sense I do find myself lost within a sense,
Okay.
like okay, like I sit here and I smoke hookah, right?
Right.
Does that mean that I'm now gonna go to hell because of that one bad sin or
Right.
what it is? Or maybe I don't agree with how this goes, like, which we're talking to the idea of marriage. And does that mean like I'm like against the entire religion? So like the fact that I go against the rules and essentially going against my culture, which is not just Muslim but African, and then going against like family and having to deal with that, it puts you in a weird like predicament, because now you're sitting here like, okay, I kind of feel alone here,
Yeah.
right? Like Muslims are shown as these really like devoted people that like would do anything for it, but the reality is like a lot of us that are born here, right, have strong families and strong backgrounds that we have to go and venture without, like I know a lot of Muslim kids that eat pork, right?
Really?
But they can't go in the house and do that they'll sit there and they'll get their bacon and egg cheese from the corner store and then go back to the crib like nothing what it is.
It's crazy
man.
you say that because I was just about to say I feel like that's one thing that I feel like the Muslim faith is very disciplined about. I was just about to say,
pork.
I was just about to say that's crazy.
Yeah,
Too.
but I have a lot of
Because I feel
privileges.
like it's easy to say, like, hey, listen, okay, that's pork. Okay, that's it. Boom, that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just cut it out of the
Yo,
way.
but it's real funny. Like I'm a snitch on
You know?
Sadiq. You, if you remember,
So I didn't want to say no names, but
yeah,
that's one of them.
On accident. You ain't bacon on accident.
No. I was gonna say real quick. I was just gonna say because
His mom will watch
it's
it,
just
what?
funny. He didn't actually do it, but one day my coach brought he bought bacon, egg, and cheeses for the whole team
one day
in the
out of the
morning.
freaking-
Yeah, right. Just decided
the
to
whole
bless it,
season.
and he came in the morning and Sadiq is also Muslim. He can't eat pork. But it was our senior year. And it was just funny. Like he made a joke. He was like, "Yo, fuck it, it's senior year, baby." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm about to eat this fucking."
Now a lot of
He
my
didn't eat it,
friends,
but-
my friends all the time like, yo, man, I'm gonna put fucking bacon in your food. You're not gonna know it. Fuck you gonna do
You
about
gonna
it?
believe that shit is popping?
Yeah,
Right.
It's just not gonna say anything.
Yeah, right.
SBC.
So yeah,
That's jodido.
but that affects your upbringing a lot. You know,
Yeah.
like if I go to your house, I have to sit and be like, yo, what's that? Like,
Get this fucking
oh, that's
pork out my
pork?
face, bitch.
Yeah, son.
Yeah,
That shit on my
disrespect me,
fucking
nigga.
facial area.
for real.
Bugging out. Bugging out.
Yeah, what's up?
I want you to answer those 5 pillar questions. man.
Cool. So
can't
5
get into
pillars.
that.
So shahada, right? So la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, which is Arabic
Okay.
A
for.
little slow,
Wait,
my
wait,
brother.
wait, wait.
That's
So-
literally a foreign language.
Right,
like,
like,
So that's
we
Arabic.
go ahead saying it.
Yo.
I'm like, what?
Elaborate.
So like, there is no God but Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is his messenger.
That's number 1.
So that's the number 1. So that's like that is the pinnacle of like this religion, right? Understand that there's only one message, there's only one clear, and like don't deviate from that, and don't believe in idols. And my word that hasn't been changed is the book of the Quran, which is passed down by Prophet Muhammad, right? And then you have Salah, which is prayer. Muslims are recommended to do the 5 mandatory prayers, right? That's it.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So.
That's in each direction, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, so yeah, it's
So you
to
always pray towards hot.
to the Kaaba.
Yeah.
You're praying towards the Kaaba, which is in Mecca.
Can I ask a quick question about that? So when you pray, once you start, you can't stop.
You can't. I don't think so.
I was gonna ask because alright, so real quick, like in 125th, like in Harlem, like the little stores with the Africans do, like bro, if they pray, like I could rob the whole store. If they're praying, they will not move.
Well,
bro, I've gone
if
up,
you-
bro,
if you
I'm like, yo,
rob
I'm
them-
trying to buy this dog, and they praying. I'm like, yo, I'm about to, I
The
ain't
Well-
ones
get
around
that.
me, they
Get
close
the
up.
scalp.
They close up.
Yeah, I mean,
around me, they
they
No,
close
but
up.
125th on the strip, there be mad little stores. They just be there.
I feel you.
I mean, somebody outside probably pop me.
For sure. I mean, if there's if let's say your son or daughter while you're praying is choking, you're aware of that. You're gonna go. And
Okay, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if somebody's like, the whole idea between prayer is it's your time to talk to God, right? So the idea is that God wants you to be, or Allah wants you to be focused in that.
Right.
So that's why it's very serious. You don't want anybody, like, nobody's allowed to walk in front of you while you're praying. Sometimes you see somebody put like a chair, something in front of them
Yeah,
because
I've
you
seen
don't
that.
want to be cut in front of,
Yeah, I see.
right? Shouldn't be nobody. You shouldn't be praying to anybody else,
Right.
right? So it's just you and the Qibla. They'll put a chair. They'll go around it. And so to answer that question, for the most part, no. If you're trying to talk to them or anything, no, because you're focused on that. You shouldn't be distracted in that. To me, it's a form of meditation,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So it's you like kind of, and I guess I know you guys probably have some thoughts on that, so we'll
Completely
elaborate.
agree with that.
So prayer 5 times a day, that's a must. You have other prayers like Tarawih, which is done during the month of Ramadan. So that's another pillar. Fasting.
Yeah, fasting's a
almost-
big one.
Yeah.
Actually,
man.
You fast during Ramadan, right?
Yeah, you can fast outside of it too,
Yeah.
but like for
But
certain
especially-
reasons,
How long?
But-
Ramadan.
How long is Ramadan?
typically between like 29 and 30 days.
Okay.
It goes. So the Muslim religion actually goes upon the lunar calendar. So we kind of do it based on when we see the new moon and stuff like that. And that's how
Is
we
that why
calculate.
that symbol is the crescent moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, so.
And where does the fasting come along? Why is it necessary to fast?
It humbles you. Well, it's just a holy month, right? It's the month that Prophet Muhammad got like the last of the Quran, right?
Okay.
So that night is called Laylatul Qadr, and it's like towards the end of the month. There's like a day, we don't know which day, but it's like the most blessed day in the whole year. It's a blessed month,
More of a symbolic thing.
Yeah.
of
So
that, yeah.
Allah chains up the devils in the month of Ramadan. He, like, any good rewards you do is multiplied by 700 good deeds, right? So we get calculated. We have angels, on our each shoulder, kind of write what we do good and bad, and it's kind of like a point system of like what goes on here. So during that month, like anything you do is good, like calculated 7 times over. So it's a holy month, and then within that month, you're being taught like to feel for like the other people on this earth, right? To feel the people that are homeless and are hungry, people who are sick and the weak or unfortunate. Teaches you to be humble, to be patient. It's also meant for you to connect with God more. You should be praying more. There's an extra prayer in Taraweeh. People spend like the last 10 days of the month just try and sleep in the mosque and just it's your time to connect with yourself, test yourself, because it is like no drinking, no eating from sun up to sunrise for all 30 days.
That is some wild stuff I've never encountered in my life.
No, you can't eat. You can't eat or drink at all.
Wait, you mean sun up? Wait, so sun up to sun? You said sun up to sunrise.
So like
Sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
Sorry, sun up to sundown. Excuse me. So
I was like, yo,
sun up to
damn,
sunrise.
never eaten.
Oh,
Never eaten.
So normally what you do is you get up at like 2 hours before the sun comes up, make breakfast, sit with your family, talk, whatever. Then you guys pray Fajr, which is that like dawn prayer, and then go back to sleep or go pray or do whatever, and you don't eat till the sun comes down, and it does connect, man. It's a beautiful thing, and it's if you ever get the chance to go to like a Muslim nation and be able to go through it to that month, it's different, man. Because when I was in Mali and I was able to experience it, it was way different. Everybody's like comes home early, not like here where you have to
it's
work.
more of a solidarity thing. I mean, everyone is doing it at the same time. It's not like America where you have it's just like just your family, and then like you're kind of like the outcast in that. No, it's the whole nation.
The whole nation, and it's different.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It really is.
it's
It
beautiful.
brings us into the community that you mentioned earlier.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's that community aspect of it when everyone believes in something.
Yeah.
And it's just like wow, it just feels amazing.
Yeah.
And that's goes to
So there's that connection. So if you ever get the chance to go to a Muslim country during the time, see it, like my uncles came home early. People are bringing out like the best dishes, wearing the best clothes. You're really sitting down talking to your family more. It's like a month of just togetherness.
I love that holiday season kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that like kind of like the Christmas season for you guys? I mean, the equivalent of a
so there's like
Christmas season
two major like holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, and one comes at the end of Ramadan. So to celebrate just the end of that month, the newest month. If you ever look at my Instagram, you see me like wearing my traditional African clothing. That's normally where we're coming from. Eid prayer.
We're about to post that if he provides us with that.
Yo, Ben _Sylla _ and then the one after Hajj. So Hajj is another one of the other. Well, before that, there's Zakat, which is giving charity. So another pillar, you should be giving charity to the poor and the less needy, and it's heavily needed during like the month of Ramadan for sure. And then Hajj. So making that yearly pilgrimage, that once in a lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina, and just kind of going through what that is.
Have you been to Mecca before?
I haven't been. My father has been. I would like
I've
to
seen
just make
so
that.
many pictures
Yeah, dude, so many people.
Yeah, there's a documentary on it, National Geographic or something like that.
So yeah, and it's just like it's the whole thing, and I don't want to spiel onto it, but
that's all right.
It's a chance to like, kind of. The point of it is like it's a pilgrimage you're doing for God. It's a sacrifice that you're doing. A lot of things are done like throughout the story of Islam for sure. Like going around the Kaaba and kissing the stone and stuff like that. Yeah. But and it said that once you like do that, all your sins in your life are forgiven. Right? It's a rebirth. It's I guess a type of baptism.
No wonder they're racing around.
But it's like a month long. Yeah. So. Those are the 5 pillars, yeah.
Okay.
And then to get into to kind of finish up my point, man, like, just what was I saying? So like, religion kind of like the Muslim religion kind of gave me a different aspect of like life, and I just grew up different, So just different things that you might not experience that I might go through, right? Like experience things really young, as far as going over to a Palestinian house and have to, at a really young age, learn about a different culture and a different idea and different food, but still having that same common idea of, hey, like this
You
is
are Muslim.
prayer time. Yeah, you are a Muslim.
Oh, shit.
So
Serious.
sure.
What about the gene?
Yeah.
So I don't know too much about it, but it's more or less like these kind of like energies or like these different types of like spirits that are actually living among us at this time, and they kind of like are served here to serve God, but they have like their own communities, and they're kind of like living among us like right now. We're just unable to see it, and the reason why we don't kind of get interact from it is kind of because they're like not supposed to. I believe if one touches us, like
We die.
God, yeah,
Right.
well they die.
Oh,
Like
they
God
die.
kills like
Yeah,
99 of them. There's actually like a funny story. I was actually telling Josh. We had this like cool conversation this weekend. So like there's like good jinn and bad jinn, some that work with the shaitan, which is the devil, and they are constantly trying to get into like heaven. So they kind of do like this jinn ladder where they step up and they're trying to, I guess, go behind. I believe like the stars that we see are like kind of the gates behind heaven.
Right.
That's like my own like idea that I have for it, and they're trying to like hop that fence, and whenever they get close, an angel sends like what we see as a shooting star to like knock it down.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Get the
That's
fuck
interesting.
out of here,
Get the-
man.
It's
Get up outta
amazing
here.
how we see natural occurrences like
Yeah, for sure.
give our
Yeah.
interpretations.
For sure. Yeah.
That's something I've
That's
never
way
heard
more
before.
interesting
Yeah.
than just a
Oh,
fucking
wait.
shooting
Which I was
star.
told,
No,
but
but you see how that's like so beautiful, like how we can all see the same things and just, see
How
the
different-
same physical things and just interpret it so different.
Like, yo, that's
Sure.
a shooting star. No, that's a fucking ratchet.
That's something that
Shooting the
that's-
shin down.
This is exactly what I want
Fuck
to
outta
do
here.
this
Yeah.
segment
Spiritual
for,
magic.
because to learn little stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I
it's
mean,
beautiful.
that's
I got a
that's
funny
awesome.
story about the jinns. Like, so there were these scrolls wrapped up in, I think, like a lamp or something in Egypt, and this dude who found it, like one of the dudes who found it was, I guess he was a practicing Muslim, and he was afraid to like touch it or break it or something like that because he believed the jinn was there. So he sold it and pawned it off, and it turned out to be like lost like testaments of the Bible, like lost scriptures of the
Right,
Bible
right.
that they now use and theologians now use for historical context. But the guy pawned it off because he was like, I don't want anything to do with it because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think there's an
Yeah,
evil jinn
I mean-
inside.
yeah.
So that's why I brought up. That's why I
Don't
asked about
surprise
jinn.
me.
I want to
Yeah.
know the
That's some
general.
Dead Sea Scroll kind of
I hear
thing.
that.
Yeah.
I hear
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Ben, I want to know a little bit about marriage and relationship,
Absolutely,
things regarding
yeah.
your whole, religious beliefs. You know what I'm saying? We got about like 4 minutes until commercial break, so if you could
Ooh.
just...
Damn, I talked a lot.
If you can squeeze that
Nah,
out.
that's perfectly fine, bro. We want you to talk a lot. By the way, guys, this episode isn't meant for y'all to hear about us
Yeah,
that much.
so-
We're going to give our little insights. But the main focus are the special guests on here, being that this is a series of episodes. So you will not hear a lot of us speak, but rather them speak just to give you an insight of how, their religious beliefs are and, what they are pretty much. So, Ben, give us relationship, marriage kind of thing in your aspect, bro.
So essentially, there is no like courting that you see here, right? There is no like dating and kind of finding out like who's meant for you. For the most part, it's your family kind of goes out and search for that. So my parents were actually, or even my grandparents, but my parents were actually arranged marriage. Like I said, my dad actually came here in the 80s. He was working, whatever, got married, got divorced. Was like, yo, listen, I think I want somebody from back home. So whatever, I guess, makes that call, talks to whoever.
Where does he call?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Who do they call?
Wait, but when you say he calls, does he call back home and like, yo, send me a wife?
Yeah, so like for
Type
some,
shit?
I need a
no,
wife
Is
for
that
my
what's
son.
happening?
So,
or
like,
is it like, yo, I need a
look,
shot?
if I really wanted to right now, right, I could definitely give my aunt a call. I said, hey, I'm ready to get settled down. Can you look for a wife for me? And I'm pretty sure probably within the year they'll find somebody. And
Now,
then,
would you be comfortable with that? Like, are you?
so
willing
let
to
me
do that?
finish the story and
Oh,
then
yeah,
I'll get to that. So my father was like, yo, let me get a wife, and then he went back home, met my mother, met the family, and they got married and came to this country and just just grew up here.
Questions right now.
Yeah,
Oh
so,
my God, I want to
um,
just start like.
to answer that
shooting
question,
fire.
I am totally 100% against the idea of getting an arranged marriage, only because, well, not only because, but majorly because of, what I've seen. Like there's this idea that yeah, like my friends tell me, or not friends, like I have friends that tell me like, hey, like, arranged marriages are actually like they're together more, like as a percentage, right? And like, oh, wouldn't that, because like marriages here last like what 50%?
Less
than that, right? 50%, 60% divorce rate.
Like, hey, like, isn't that kind of forced a bit? I mean, like,
Right. So
Marriage-
I personally do not agree with
guess,
that because I feel like that number is a little bit skewed because there are a lot of like arranged marriages who they don't have the option to divorce, right? If you're forced into a marriage, what makes you think you have
an option to leave if they wanted to?
in
That's
some in some cases no. Some cases you might be allowed, but in my mother's case, her and my dad are like separated currently, but my mom didn't, she grew up in Mali's like one of the poorest countries in the world. So she didn't get the chance to like have an education. She came here, she never went to school. So in the sense of like, okay, like my parents actually didn't like speak to each other for like 7 years. Like lived in the same house. There was no love. There was no communication.
And it was because of the arranged marriage kind of situation.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to elaborate it, but let's get to commercial break. And
Yeah. We're gonna let Ben elaborate a little more on this next segment, and I'm gonna bring you a little bit of Bon Jovi. We're keeping it classic here. All right? This is "Livin' on a Prayer," guys. Please enjoy this old
My
school
favorite
track. Pretty ironic, right? Segment, but this conversation, it's cool. I want the listeners to know, man. I want them to be involved. I want them to know what it is. This conversation has just been getting so intense that we have nothing but questions for my man Ben here. This guy Alex's mind is running, HP's is running, and so is Kenneth's, man. We all got thoughts, but I'm saying, it's just so much to get in the right amount of time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue Ben's elaborative discussion on marriage and relationships, and then we're gonna get into a little bit of the stigmas that come with religion, from Católicos to atheists to fucking Muslims, excuse me. We're here though. We're gonna get into it. Ben, get into it. What's going on, my brother? Marriage, relationships, continue.
Yeah, so fucking guy. To continue on it, just if I guess I was saying, like, if I would want to get married now, I guess I would just give my aunt a call, say, hey, I'm ready. And within the month or within the year, I'll start to like see them and do that. So my parents, brought my mother over, and she didn't have really much. Oh, so I was going into divorce. That's what I was talking about. So, yeah, so you didn't really have the option to leave because, she was uneducated. She doesn't make that much money. So, and then there's also the fear of, hey, I don't want to like have my kids grow up in a broken home. Because that's not what it is, especially back home. Yeah, and that's why I feel like that whole idea of, okay, arranged marriages don't divorce as much, therefore it should be better. Yeah, you have less options, I feel like.
It's a smokescreen.
Yeah.
You don't really have the.
Yeah, so I don't feel like, and it's I don't feel like every situation is like that, obviously, but that is the stigma behind it.
Is that so? For example, if you were to, for example, bring up the next generation of Muslims in your family, would you subscribe to that sort of
No.
regimen of
Hell
living?
no. Hell
do you
no.
think? Do you think that sort of arranged marriage sort of practice of getting people together for the next generation? Do you think that is optimal?
But just I don't think so. I mean,
Why?
based off like, and I just go off like based on my own experiences, and just growing up here in this country with this culture.
Right.
Every like arranged marriage culture I've seen growing up, literally every them is broken. Something I've always told people is like I've never knew what it was like to be in a home with a relationship, right? I never knew what it was like to see like two adults like loving one another
Willingly.
Or
For their
even
own-
like
for their own sake.
for the own
sake of
so
their own happiness.
fitness, right? And it's not just my parents; it was my cousins, my their parents. Everywhere I look, left and right, everybody's single and divorced. Like, and then my parents being born, like coming over here, don't really have outside friends, so I wasn't really like exposed to like it's taboo really growing up to see like
non-Muslims and hang out with them.
yeah, and to see like a functioning relationship at all.
I'm very curious, actually. So, like, for the marriage aspect, right? So, I understand that marriage back in the day was something, sort of a way that families can gain
Status.
Status,
status, right? Through land, through rule. For example, in the royalties, people would keep things in the royalties so that they would marry through it. They would actually arrange marriages so that they can get, expand their family's power and stuff like that.
For
right?
sure, yeah.
There are different meanings through marriage. I mean, through different times, there are different meanings to marriage, right? What is the meaning of marriage in the Muslim faith? What does it mean to be married? Because to be honest, hearing this, the fact that people are just being arranged to be married, what does it mean for two people, even if they did not meet on their own terms, what does that mean for them to be married? What is the point? What is the point of it?
Well, and I honestly, like I said, I'm not a Muslim scholar, so I can't give you that exact answer. But from what I've seen, from what I've read, from what I know, it's and sadly, it's a man-driven religion.
I completely agree with that. I was gonna say something.
So
like
it's
that.
more of the lines like, hey, you can take this woman and help bring her up to like this higher level of like loving God, and then you together would, I guess, bring up more religious children, right? It's literally
It's
the
all
job
to
of the
advance
parent.
faith.
Yeah.
It's all to make it stronger.
Yeah, it's the idea is
through the patriarchal sort
Yep.
of.
yeah, like there's something where it's like the first 7 years of a child's life is you're loving them, you're doing it right. For the next 7, it's like 7. The next 7 is literally teaching them, and teaching them about the religion.
And then the next step is living it, right?
Living it and like trying to be like the friend of the child, right? Trying to like not be forcitive, but more of like be a friend and kind of get it through that pure type of eye.
Does
right?
that ever go away eventually? Is that something that deteriorates over time?
I actually believe in the 7-7 and but kind of in a different like light, right? I believe like that's a motto that we should kind of believe in, right? Raise your kids young, as a young you should be love and nurturing. Through the next 7 years, you're teaching them like life skills and trying to have them force them where to go in school and whatnot. Yeah. And then for adolescence to adulting, you should be learning to trying to be a friend. Something that kind of discusses with like African like households. It's not something that I really was able to get with my father. Something that I'm trying to build on now. But Josh is like as you guys know, are really really like friendly with his father. That's his like best friend, and they're dope. And I feel like that's helped Josh a lot in a lot of life learning situations. And as much as my father was trying to teach and trying to be nurturing, it was not that. That's just not the nature of our relationship. So, although I would never say my dad doesn't love me, it doesn't want to, but I feel like if he would maybe implemented that idea of like you want to be more of a peer. And trying to get to know who your son or daughter is, I think that's really important. That's something that I take with me from the religion for sure.
Absolutely, bro. I hear that, man. I feel like that plays a big role as well.
Yeah.
Because essentially you learn pretty much everything from your parents.
You do.
Especially religion. Right. Religion. Let's talk on some of the stigmas, man, that come with being a Muslim, bro. Like,
For sure.
how do you feel about some of the stigmas that come with it, and do you feel like you live any of them? Do you what really pretty much grinds your gears, and how do you prove these people wrong regarding these stigmas?
So I'm gonna start off by saying that, like, I was really young when September 11th happened, and there was this stigma just like Muslims are terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I don't look like what is a typical Muslim, right? Arabic, long beard, or what is hijab wearing ladies, wearing the jabab, the full clothing, and or if you even see like, black men coming out of prison, right, who decided to change their faith to Islam or the Nation of Islam, believing in that. Like, you look at me, you don't think Muslim, right?
At all. I didn't even know you were until you told me.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I would have
So
never guessed.
I had
dinner with this guy.
yeah, they didn't know. But I had the privilege of not having to answer those questions, right? Like, okay, you see like an Arabic kid, excuse me, and you look at them, you know off rip what their religion is, right? Or you assume, because not every like
I would assume the
Egyptian,
same for Ethiopian or
for sure.
Yeah, someone who told me they were Senegalese or
Yeah, but that's because you're more educated. But as
Yeah.
far like first like off rip, you're just looking at somebody.
Yeah,
That stigma comes with it, right? You see like an African American person.
Yeah,
Some
no.
people are like, okay, I gotta hold my purse more. So with the Muslims, it's like, okay, I gotta be careful. This person might,
Blow me
up
up
a
or some
plane,
shit.
like,
yeah,
yeah.
type shit.
I was blessed that I didn't have that characteristic.
Right.
Like you can't see it
Right.
on me, but it was something that I had. Yeah, for sure. But I had to grow up with that behind the stigma. So
Right.
I literally like, I essentially hid who I was for like a long time before I learned to embrace who I was and how it makes me different. But like I wouldn't really discuss religious issues, or I wouldn't bring up that I'm Muslim because of that fact.
You didn't want to be stigmatized.
Yeah, of
essentially,
course, for
demonized
sure.
or
You
anything
know what's
like that.
crazy is that you don't even gotta be Muslim to get stigmatized, because HP over here, like, he was telling us in the chat the other day that one of his friends would joke and call him a terrorist because of his physical image, like with the beard and everything.
yeah.
But I feel like that comes with
No, yeah.
that
so-
comes
Yeah,
with what I'm saying,
sure.
being Muslim, because
Yeah, 'cause we're-
majority of Muslims do have beards,
Yeah.
and they would just like relate that toward terrorism and shit.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
some
just
Hispanics look like Arabs.
Yeah.
prime example right here.
There's
Literal
actually-
prime example right here.
There's a comedian too. I forgot his name.
Yeah, it's you
Yeah,
definitely look
Yemenis.
Middle Eastern, bro. Like, I'm not even trying to play you, bro. You really.
But-
In the Habibi
European
spot in the
features,
corner,
you
like,
feel me?
yeah, I need
But-
that turkey bacon and cheese.
No, but we weren't even talking about.
Let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
We're talking about-
Turkey bacon,
Yo,
fuck
fuck,
outta
well,
here.
first of all, make a poppin'
That's a fact.
bacon. Egg.
I heard that shit is trash.
Nigga worked at a deli his half his life.
Yeah, but we were talking about just terrorism in general. Too.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
saying, dude, I was like, yo, that's crazy. Just because of that, because like whenever I would grow my beard out crazy, I just really go crazy with my
You
hair
look like
and everything.
Habibi. You look like
Yeah,
Habibi.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
does.
And I actually had somebody come into the store one time and off rip just started talking like Arabic to me, and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
what are you saying? They're like, oh, you know Arabic? I was like, nah, bro.
Nah, but you do look. and I don't
Dominicano,
know.
pa, no te pasa, oíste.
Yeah. There's actually a comedian. I forgot his name. I gotta get it to you guys. But he's like growing up in like Texas, and he's
Oh,
from the
boy,
Middle East,
Texas, Jesus.
and he like there's like the gang wars between the blacks and
Yeah.
the Mexicans, and then when the blacks come up to him, he's like speaking Arabic, like, yo, no, I'm not, or I think he's Pakistani actually, but speaking Urdu, I guess would say.
Yeah.
And then when the Mexicans came around, when the Mexicans came around Arabic, when the blacks came around, he wasn't Mexican, right?
Yeah.
He's acting as if his regular where he's from. Mexicans came around, like, yo, who part of you said? Like, yo, I speak Spanish, dude. I grew up around here, so
Yeah.
that's thing. So I was lucky that I didn't have that, and especially just being like, an African. I consider myself an African living or raised in America.
Right.
I already had enough stigma to go to, right? I was in an Albanian school.
Yeah.
Right,
I grew
imagine-
up with stigma.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
being in that culture, I was a lot of racist things, man. Like that's kind of the reason why I kind of deviated.
racist things in an Albanian school?
What do you mean? Like
I mean, like in Albanian.
Oh, they're really racist.
Yeah.
Albanians?
No.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no,
Whoa, not all of them.
It's not that though, because the thing is
Of
they're
course not.
they're
Yeah.
really, like, Muslim, you know what I'm
Of course
saying?
not.
They're
This
visibly-
fucking guy.
but my school was Muslim. It was an Islamic school.
Oh, was it? It was a normal. It was like a.
I've experienced
It wasn't based off of Albanian. It was just.
No, there was like a lot of Albanian
Islam.
kids.
Okay, no, that's my thing because,
Yeah.
like, for example, like you and like Albanians, like you guys don't traditionally look like the Muslim that would get.
Yeah,
that
for
sort
sure.
of, you know.
But not even like but of course, like when you get it within the religion, right?
Right.
When you're in a classic group, there's people start to like divide, right? Within the swing color.
Right.
So that's what it was. So just growing up with that kind of like made me want to shelter myself more. Like, okay,
Gosh.
like already dealing with being black and like growing up, right outside the hood and
All the categories just start to
yeah,
add up.
Literally
like,
right
it's
outside
bad.
the
And I
hood.
Yeah,
always
for
say
sure,
like,
for sure.
I feel bad for my sister, because what is lower,
On
right?
top of a female.
Right, being a woman,
Yeah.
being black
Yeah.
and being Muslim in this
Yes.
country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't even
imagine
imagine.
how
Layers,
what she
man.
gotta.
That's
That's
she gotta
layers.
do.
crazy.
Yeah,
I never really thought about that.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
A lot later.
Yeah.
Sheesh. That's
So
You know, and it is kind of shitty that
Just
yeah,
want to say,
so-
not all Albanians are racist.
No,
Not
they're
what I
not.
meant when I
Can I-
said
can I have the
that.
clear-
Not what
My
I meant
best
when I
friend-
said that. Not what I said.
Tell him to
Not
clean
what
it
I
up
meant when
real
I said
quick.
All the Albanian women watching this, don't fucking kind of.
Gee.
I'm open to y'all though. You know what I'm saying?
I'm open to y'all though.
Yeah.
It's on Habibi right
Yeah.
here. Habibi things.
What is this guy
I
saying?
want to
man?
understand
Hello.
y'all.
Well, he's doing his worst.
Well,
What
listen,
am I
guys.
doing? I'm just trying to get to know y'all. Yeah.
Hey, listen.
So another stigma, I guess, within the religion culture is that they're super devout. Muslims are super
Yeah,
devout.
I
like,
think
every
that's-
single one of
yeah.
them.
I wouldn't say that. Maybe not. I would say that's like a stereotype because like
Yeah.
people think like especially I used to think this too.
Yeah.
Like I used to think Islam wasn't on a spectrum the way Christianity or Judaism is.
completely.
So I used to think if you're deviating from it, you're doing it completely wrong. There's
Right.
no deviation. That's what I used to think about
every
it
Yeah,
faith
for sure.
has a
until I met a
spectrum,
Muslim
my
like you.
friend.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm like,
even
wow.
but I like even today it's still like it's shown to be like prevalent. But like I guess you can call me like a bad Muslim. Like, I don't pray 5
Right.
times a day,
Right.
and I'm not the only
I
one that
wouldn't
does
say
it.
it's a bad Muslim because, to be honest, throughout
Shit.
time, religions have evolved. And to be honest, I mean, if they were to still be the same way as they were back when they were founded, I mean,
That's like a huge argument. Like
Within the
now.
Muslim-
yeah,
yeah,
like,
within
they
the
don't.
Muslim-
but I mean,
still
with
believing
any,
in shit.
with any religion. I mean, I think that's the case with any religion because it all evolves through time, man.
No,
that's
but
the
the
point
idea
is
is
that
Islam really it
should-
hasn't.
Yeah, it can't.
It
It's
can't.
not supposed
Like,
to.
if
It's
you
not
evolve-
supposed to
Rigid.
fundamentally. It's
No,
not
but it
supposed to.
really
No, but everything
doesn't.
is not
It
supposed
doesn't.
to.
Like
Oh,
you
I
still
think
have
it does.
you still have
It
Sharia.
has with you, my
No,
friend.
but that's how I identify. But I'm talking about like the state of it, right?
The state of it,
Like,
but-
in
but
the
you are
Christian-
state. You have to understand that you are going to be the state of it.
Oh, for
because
sure.
When you pass it on to your children, they're going to be the new state
But
of
the
it.
argument would be like, then he's not really Muslim.
Yeah, and they would
But
have good
you will
grounds
be
for
the
that too.
only, you will be the only thing that is left of that. You have to understand
Yeah.
that
Oh, for
it,
sure.
it
I mean,
evolves.
yeah.
It evolves with the generation. So as much as you say that it just doesn't evolve,
And it ties down to like the millennial like ideology and the change that we're making right
Yep.
now, right?
Mhm.
Because
We're
and-
disruptors.
yeah, for sure. And I
it's
honestly
been
believe
evolving.
like
I feel like it's been evolving through time. But anyway, continue.
yeah, but not like how rapidly it's going
Yeah,
now,
no,
and
he's right.
how like these things are
rapidly,
coming out.
yes. The
He's right.
rate, we can
And like
argue.
I honestly believe like I think in the next 100 to 200 years, I don't think
it'll be unrecognizable. I feel
religion won't even
Completely.
be an idea for sure.
completely.
Really, 200 years.
I don't like.
Well, I'd say
I mean,
less.
it's been like
I think
Wow.
it's been
Wow.
thousands
yeah.
going.
I think it's Moore's law less, to be honest.
It'd be like-
That's
If you
I
wanna
never
get
even heard that
I'd be
thought.
like 100.
Dude, I'm thinking about it
I
now.
don't
I mean, if you
know.
go
Like, that's
down
the
to like
first
me
time
being
I
a
heard that.
religion, right? If I'm
Going on for a
in,
minute.
I don't know if I'm.
For years.
I don't see myself marrying a Muslim woman, right? My
Right.
girlfriend right now, she's
and
not
this
Muslim.
is how the
And then
culture
like
gets
how we're gonna
diluted.
raise our
Right.
children, it's not gonna
Right.
be like a Muslim. You know
Which
what
is
I
not
mean?
a bad, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
Not
Well,
that-
I was gonna say,
It's not.
real quick, you can also look at it as almost like with science, right? Something's a theory until
Yeah,
then you find out.
that's
All right, let's adjust it real quick.
Okay, so
it's almost like with religion. You now you can kind of do the same thing. It's like, all right, let me adjust it real quick.
The point
Like,
is you're not
they'll
supposed
probably
to.
try to pull that.
no.
Right.
The point is you're not supposed to.
See, this is the problem. This is the problem, and this is really what fundamentally defines my belief. Is that really what grounds my belief is that my belief can change. Right, my belief
And that's all I
is
explained.
malleable.
And
is
we're
that
open
it's,
to
is
changing.
that it's plastic, right? It's like that's something.
Well, more
that I
like
feel
metal.
like-
It's malleable.
It's malleable and it's plastic as well. I mean, plasticity.
And I'm
is-
just fucking with
is
you.
what I mean.
It's
Yeah.
transparent. Transparency. No.
Right.
Plasticity,
He's like, I'm gonna stick to his
malleability,
words.
whatever you want to call it. I
Right.
mean, my point is that
Where did that voice
when
come from?
something comes along, that is worthy of shifting or transforming my belief,
Mhm.
it is warranted. And you know what? It is welcomed. In my mind, in my philosophy, in my thing, it is welcomed. And that is one thing that I feel like, for me, I believe science and religion shares what I originally had said, that we it is fundamentally a result of the human
Experience.
The human anxiety of ignorance, right? Science is definitely a result of that as well, because science is a result of us just trying to understand everything. And to be honest, but the thing is that my idea of science and religion, why they're different, is that religion wants to maintain and sort of like sustain a certain sort of belief system, right? Science fundamentally, and to be honest, I'm not gonna lie, that certain scientists do not follow what science should be, and that it should be evolving and it should be changing through time. Is a lot of them marry a lot of these old archaic sort of concepts, right?
Sure.
But science fundamentally should be changing with knowledge, should be changing, and that's something that I feel is important, and it underlies what I believe.
Right.
Sure.
And that's what I was saying about Islam being rigid, is that it fundamentally is not supposed to be changed, altered in any way.
Right.
And that's part of the reason it has stayed that way, because Christianity originally was a fluid, ever-changing sort of thing until someone said, let's consolidate it. You know, when Muhammad received the word of God from the angel Gabriel, it was as is, unchanging forever.
Jibril,
sorry.
Just so like people get
Sorry.
Don't disrespect.
Not disrespect. It's just
It's the
the
same
same
word.
word.
If
you didn't
translate
it's
it,
okay.
Different
Is that
language.
him?
I was just giving the layman's
cool.
version of it.
They're
Is like we would interpret as the
Yeah, like
Christians would
Adam and
consider
Eve
the
is
angel
like
Gabriel.
the same, but it's Adam and Hawa. Or,
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
Mary's
Right,
Miriam.
right.
So like,
It's-
but like
it's-
to continue,
yeah.
like what you're saying.
Continue, please.
Oh, so like oh God, what was I saying?
How Islam is very rigid.
Yeah, so that's why it hasn't sort of changed in en masse, like that. That's why it's like that's why you have Sunni and you have Shia, right? Like fundamentally, they want to keep everything the same.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be unchanging forever, and that's why it's been so slow to change. Because there's a billion, literally a billion Muslims in the world, and most of them believe the same thing en masse because that's what they're taught. Throughout the generations, nothing changes.
I believe in there's no God but Allah, right? But we are taught not to like see or pray to the image of God. So that's why my imagination can tell me, well, which I believe is like, maybe he's not this figure that society has said that he's standing up there with a hammer. And I believe like, Allah is just like this energy that's around us, that's able to create and manipulate. You know what I mean? So being Muslim is more or less following the rules of how to give praise and how do you get to heaven and not.
You always want to become a better Muslim.
And what I
100%.
what I did actually what I do actually admire about the Muslim faith is that they understand that anything that gets into the vehicle of humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything that man gets to touch, gets to say, gets to translate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will be ultimately corrupted. That is one thing that for me I identify and that I can agree with in the Muslim faith, because that they can understand that once something gets understood and then translated, like it's susceptible to corruption and that's just something that I just personally I resonate with.
That's over, man.
And that's something I can respect, and that the fact that they want to keep things, true to what the original beliefs are. But the thing is that humanity is just really good at fucking shit up.
Well, it's that, and then it's like, all right, so I'm here in this, grew up in this country, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's taboo to act like a Muslim like should be. It's considered to be weird. So it's really like, okay, do I want to fight against that norm, or do I want to fit into what's mostly around me? Because again, my community isn't Muslim, so it's harder.
Right.
Like sitting there, you see people go out and like for me, I personally would never be in the middle of a shopping mall and start praying. But Allah says, hey, when it's time to pray, it's time to pray. But I won't do that. You know what I mean? But that's just. And I had another point. I'm just forgetting it right now. But it doesn't ask you to like waver. It tells you like this is the way it is. This is the plan. I mapped it out for you. Follow it. Serve like this dunya, this life is a test.
Right.
That's literally what the whole religion is about: serving God, listening to His word, and just just like learning, but follow what he says and try to continue through. So, and just like I just kind of want to give a background on like why I say I'm like a half practicing or like semi practicing Muslim, because I believe it in the cultures and the rule and like a lot of like the values that it teaches in Islam, right? Maybe the reason why I don't pray is maybe because I'm just lazy, right? Or the idea that I had to sit down and learn how to read the Quran, but I don't know necessarily can understand it because I can't translate Arabic, right? And the idea that I was born I was born into this religion, right? I was forced to do this. So now that I'm older, I want to sit back and be more reflective and look at it. Like, okay, I still identify this because it's part of my DNA, right? Even if like I decide, and I don't really think I will, but if I decide, hey, I'm not a Muslim anymore, right? It's always gonna be in my functioning, right? A lot of the beliefs I believe in. There's one thing that says like, Jannah or the heaven is under your mother's foot. It's like one of the hadiths. Fundamental, yeah. Right. So that's something that I literally take in my day to day. Treat others how you want to be treated is a big teaching, right? Want for others what you want for yourself. And those are things that I try to live by. Okay, things that I put in like into my relationships, whether it's with my girl or with my friends or with my parents. I try to live by those things, and I think the religion of Islam has a lot of good fundamentally based like ideas and teachings that I think which made me who I am, and I feel like I'm pretty humble, down to earth, accepting, right? Even though the ideas say, hey, like LGBTQ plus isn't like the way of the Quran, but dude, I like have friends that are pan and bisexual, lesbian, whatever it is, and I'm accepting of those, right? So am I not a regular practicing Muslim, right? Just because I was born into what says I shouldn't, within a sense. So I say I'm a half practicing Muslim because, in a sense, I don't necessarily want to do things I don't not fully like know what it is, but I'm accepting like the changes that it's around it, but I truly love the religion and what it's done for me, and just
you're evolving the Muslim faith to your lifestyle.
It's beautiful.
To be honest, that's the most beautiful thing.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Because you started off with the grounding of reality, and then you just adapted it to whatever you.
Yeah, and it's a battle that I go through every day, and I, sit and like have to figure out how I talk to God and how I want to believe and how I want to structure my family, because it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a battle. It's I'm going against my family and my culture, but at the same time, I know that I can only live my life. Absolutely. So, and at the end of the day, I think the basis of any religion or any energy or any faith or anything that you believe in is, just be as good as you can. Try and help people around you, and just try and raise offspring that are also trying to do the same. And if we got everybody that's
perpetuate that, yeah, absolutely.
If everybody's just thinking like that and is just trying to like better themselves and better the people around them, I think the world will be a better place.
Yeah, I feel you, LB, and those are actually some pretty beautiful words you said, man. And I just want to thank you for being on this episode of the Checkbox, and I want to thank you for being the first episode of this religion series that we will have. And like I said to you guys, it wasn't meant for us to talk a lot. It was mainly to hear Ben speak on his aspect of things, from everyday life to certain thoughts that we all have. And you already know where you can follow the Checkbox at the Checkbox on Instagram, no K. You can follow our special guest Ben at Ben_Sylla. That's 2 L's, SYLLA_. So Ben_Sylla_. HP at HPenna730, Alec at Alec with a K _Sergio, and my guy Ken over here at _ in every color. And me at Chec, CHEC_7. Talk to me.
Before you sign off, I think it'd be really dope if people really leave like questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Questions, because we could definitely do like a recap with at the end with everybody, or if you need me to video in or whatever, call in. Like I got you, man. Yeah, dope, man. There's stuff I left out, but I would like to.
I got you. Yeah, guys. I mean, you heard it from him first. leave any type of comments under SoundCloud, under YouTube. You guys have all of our Instagrams, and I just want to thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 6, religion from the Islamic State, being a Muslim in the U.S. today, basically. Not from the Islamic State, but about the Islamic State. You know what it is. About, relax. What are you doing?
What
man?
the pasa?
Nah, you took the L, Chec. Come on.
I took the L, but I corrected myself. It's Gucci. But hey, listen, guys,
It
we
is
gotta
what
go.
it is, and
You
it
already
ain't
know.
what it
So
ain't.
it's gonna be randomly picked, so I'm gonna leave it up to our producer friend Sylla to pick this last track, man. You already know, man. Holla at us, man. The Chec box. Thanks for joining in. Holla.
Get it.